Chapter 5460. And judging from Xiao-er's attitude towards her, it was obviously different from other girls. Could it be that Xiao-er had always liked this girl? But didn't she vaguely remember that this girl had an unusual relationship with Family Xia's sixth son? How come she was with her son now? This girl wasn't someone easy to deal with. Yi Qian calmly accepted the scrutiny and didn't explain much, only quietly accompanying them. The scene suddenly became a little awkward. Seeing her daughter-in-law looking at Yi Jian with a scrutinizing gaze, old Madame Qin sighed in her heart. She took Yi Jian's hand and said, "It's been hard on you. You're still accompanying me here in the middle of the night." "You're too polite," Yi Qian said with a smile. She knew that old Madame Qin was backing her up and wanted Mrs. Qin to be careful. But Mrs. Qin's heart tightened when she saw the interaction between Yi Qian and old Madame Qin. What should she do? Old Madame Qin clearly liked Yi Qian very much. No, she absolutely couldn't have such a daughter-in-law. She played around with Family Xia and young Masterly in her hands. Seeing that she didn't get a rich husband, she set her sights on Xiao-er. She absolutely couldn't let her have her way. Mrs. Qin glanced at the time, her gaze slightly fixed, and she took the opportunity to say, "It's late now, Mom. Why don't we let Missy go back first? Now that we're here, there's no need for outsiders. After all, it's inconvenient for outsiders to stay here." Outsiders? Yi Qian could only be an outsider. She absolutely couldn't become a member of the Qin family. She absolutely couldn't accept such a daughter-in-law. This Jian girl isn't an outsider. Old Madame Qin glanced at her daughter-in-law and said, "Before you came tonight, she had been accompanying me. If it weren't for her, I'm afraid I would have been scared to the point of being hospitalized by your father." Alas, her daughter-in-law's prejudice towards family status was very deep. It was even deeper than her, the older generation. Mrs. Qin's expression changed even faster after hearing old Madame Qin's words. Now that her daughter was going to marry a poor soldier with no family background, how could she let her son marry a woman without any power or influence? Which of the aristocratic families in the capital wasn't a strong alliance? Could it be that their Qin family had already married a daughter to a lowly family background and they had to marry another woman? What's more, he was a soldier. How could they take care of the Qin family in the future? So, no matter what, they wouldn't agree. Old Madame Qin looked at her daughter-in-law's face and guessed something. She didn't agree. SSSS feelings, she didn't have the slightest bit of him. Prince Xiang's affectionate, Goddess's unintentional. She's affectionate her. Hey. In the future, when he found out, he would definitely regret what he had done today to the point that his intestines would turn green. Ding Kang's wife? I think Jian girl is good. What do you think about recognizing her as our family's goddaughter in the future? Mrs. Qin didn't directly point it out. She had to give some face to her daughter-in-law. Moreover, she didn't want her daughter-in-law to look down on Yi Qian because of her family background and make her old friend angry. Her only granddaughter was despised by her daughter-in-law. This would really hurt their relationship. Mrs. Qin's words surprised everyone present except for Yi Qian. Chapter 5461. Mrs. Qin was delighted when she heard old Madame's words. Although she didn't like this girl, it was better to have her as a god relative than to marry her son. At most, she would have a poor relative, which was completely different from marrying her son. Mrs. Qin said, "Mom, the child you like must be good, but now is not the time to discuss this. Let's wait until Dad wakes up, and then we could talk about it." Even if she wanted to have her as a god relative, she couldn't agree immediately. Once she had her as a god relative, this girl's identity would change. She would no longer be an orphan, but a daughter of the Qin family. She had to be taught more about her character. In order to climb up the social ladder, she cast a net everywhere, which would ruin the Qin family's reputation. She had to be taught more about the rules. That's true. Old Madame Qin followed Mrs. Qin's words. She just mentioned it to let her daughter-in-law rest assured. She didn't want to guess here and there. When Qin Xiu heard old Madame Qin's suggestion, his heart tightened. Although he knew it was impossible between them, if they really became brother and sister, he would have a reason to care for and protect her. Fine, that's it. If they became brothers and relatives, it would be improper for him to have other thoughts. Or he could really forget about it. Yes, let's wait until Grandpa wakes up to discuss this matter. Qin Ing also said. She looked at her brother and sighed in her heart. If he really recognized her as his god sister, the girl he liked would become his younger sister. This would be a really uncomfortable thing. Then the involvement between them would really be endless. For him, it was not a good thing. Qin Ying's heart ached for her brother, Qin Xiao. She looked at him from the corner of her eyes and saw him looking down and pursing his lips. Qin Ying couldn't bear it and closed her eyes. After all, they were not fated. No matter how affectionate they were destined to have no result. Not long after, Qin Xiao's uncle, Qin Dingbua, and his illegitimate son, Qini, also rushed over and waited outside the door for the examination results. It was already 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Old Madame Qin was already sleepy. The Qin family had persuaded her several times to go home and rest or go to the ward to rest, but old Madame Qin was unwilling. She still waited bitterly for old Master Qin to come out of the emergency room. Yi Qian stayed by her side and chatted with old Madame Qin from time to time. Finally, when it was close to 5 o'clock, the doctor pushed old Master Qin out of the operating room. The old man's problem isn't serious. It's just that he's old and his cerebral arteries are a little blocked. It's not a big problem, but you have to be more careful. Thank you for your hard work, doctor. Hearing that old Master Qin was fine, Yi Qian decided not to stay any longer and go home first. He wanted to reassure his grandfather when he woke up. After accompanying the Qin family to send old Master Qin to the ward, Yi Qian said to old Madame Qin, "Grandma Qin, since Grandpa Qin is fine, I'm relieved. I'll leave first. Grandma Qin, you've been waiting here all night. Why don't you go home and have a rest? Qin Xiao and the others are watching over here." Old Madame Qin nodded hesitantly. Qin Ing said to Qin Xiao, "Take Grandma and Missy home first. We'll watch over here." She then said to Mrs. Qin, "Mom, why don't you go home and have a rest first? I'll call you when Grandpa wakes up later." Mrs. Qin hesitated for a while and nodded. Okay. Mrs. Qin was still worried about the matter between Yi Qian and Qin Xiao. She wanted to go with them so that she could ask about it on the way. Chapter 5462. Mrs. Qin was very much in favor of having a goddaughter. When old Madame Qin brought it up, her son didn't object. It was clear that even though old Madame Qin had some feelings for Yi Qian, she didn't want Yi Qian to be her granddaughter-in-law. In the end, old Madame Qin came from a prestigious family. Although she said that she didn't care about the family background, she knew what she was thinking. Mrs. Qin felt much more relieved when she thought about how her mother-in-law was on her side. In fact, Mrs. Qin misunderstood everything. It wasn't that old Madame Qin didn't approve of Yi Qian as her granddaughter-in-law, but that Yi Qian didn't want to be the Qin family's granddaughter-in-law at all. Mrs. Qin was the type who thought too highly of herself. "Shulin, take Mom home for me." Qin Ing understood her mother's temperament. Although her grandmother was in the car, it was inevitable that her mother would say something inappropriate. With her new boyfriend accompanying her, Madame Qin would be more or less cautious and wouldn't say anything unpleasant. That way, Grandma wouldn't be displeased and Yi Qian wouldn't be happy. "Okay, Andy, I'll take you home to rest." V8 did not know what they were thinking, but he still listened to his girlfriend. In fact, he wanted to send a text message to his captain and tell him that his girlfriend was being targeted by a powerful rival in love, and that he should come to her rescue as soon as possible. Before Mrs. Qin could say anything, her daughter's words made her speechless. She felt very depressed. However, she couldn't take it anymore and didn't want to fuss over it. She would deal with these things in the future. Be careful on the road. Qin walked them to the elevator and gave V8 a subtle look. V8 blinked. His sharp senses as a special forces soldier were on full display at this moment. He actually understood it instantly. He gave his girlfriend an okay hand sign and waved goodbye to old Madame Qin and sent her home. Yi Qian helped old Madame Qin into the car. The streets of Beijing were quiet before dawn. Old Madame Qin finally couldn't take it anymore and fell asleep. She didn't forget to hold on tightly to Yi Qian's arm when she fell asleep. "Is there a blanket in the car?" "Grandma Qin is asleep, Yi Qian whispered to Qin Xiu, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. I don't think there's anything in the car. Qin Xiu took off his jacket and handed it to Yi Qian. Cover Grandma with it first. Yi Qian carefully supported old Madam Qin, took Qin Xiu's coat, and covered old Madam with it. Thank you for your hard work tonight, Qin Xiu said to Yi Qian, who was still struggling internally. Yi Qian chuckled softly and said, You've already said this a few times tonight. You don't have to say these words of gratitude over and over again, do you? Qin Xiu smiled and lowered his head. He didn't know what else to say to her. Why don't you take a nap first? I'll wake you up when we arrive. Qin Xiu thought for a while and asked, I can still hold on. Yi Qian adjusted old Madam Qin to a comfortable position. Staying up late like this was a piece of cake for her. Qin Xiu saw Yi Qian's movements from the rearview mirror. His eyes dimmed again. He was too late. She was such a good girl, but they weren't destined to be together. He couldn't have a happy ending with her. What do you think of Grandma's proposal in the hospital? Qin Xiu suddenly asked. What proposal? Become godparents? Yi Qian asked. Yes. Let's talk about it later. It's not urgent now. Yi Qian knew that old Madam Qin had mentioned this twice because she wanted to help her out and protect her. But this matter really needed to be discussed at length. Chapter 5463. Qin Xiu was silent for a long time before replying to Yi Qian. In the future, you will have the Qin family's protection. If anyone dares to bully you again, you can tell me. Yes, I want to go home and talk to Grandpa. In fact, Yi Jian thought that this was a good idea. Qin Xiu was a gentleman, and he knew his bottom line very well. If they became brother and sister, naturally, some problems that had not been solved for years would be solved. Qin Xiu didn't try to find a topic to talk to Yi Qian. He only glanced at the rearview mirror from time to time. He suddenly wished that the journey could be longer and that time could pass slower. It would be good for them to be in the same space, quietly like this. After today, he didn't know how long it would be before he had another chance like this. Yi Qian returned to the Fu family home. Old Master Fu was still asleep in the living room. The bodyguards had covered him with a thick blanket. Yi Qian walked over and tucked the old man in. Old Master Fu was a light sleeper and opened his eyes immediately. Grandpa, girl, you're back. Old Master Fu slowly got up. Yi Qian and the bodyguards quickly helped him sit up. How's Grandpa Qin? Old Master Fu asked. Grandpa Qin's bodyguards gave him first aid in time. He's fine. The doctor gave him a full body checkup and said that it was caused by a cerebral artery infarction due to his old age. His life is not in danger at the moment, Yi Qian said. That's good. Old Master Fu also heaved a sigh of relief. At his age, he had to admit that he was old. These old friends by his side could pass away any time. Grandpa, let me help you to your room to rest first, Yi Qian said. Thinking of old Master Qin lying in the hospital, Yi Qian still felt some regret. She hoped that her grandpa could live for a few more decades. Okay. Old Master Fu nodded and let them help him back to his room. Yi Qian went back to her room to wash up. She snuggled under the blanket and quickly fell asleep. When she woke up again, it was already past 10 in the morning. Yi Qian came out of her room and heard voices downstairs. Xia Jinyuan was sitting opposite the old man, drinking tea. He smiled at her and said, You're awake? Yes. Yi Qian nodded. I've been keeping your breakfast warm in the kitchen. Go and eat it first. The old man looked at Yi Qian lovingly. Yi Qian went to eat breakfast. In the living room, Xia Jinyuan and the old man were chatting happily. As soon as Yi Qian sat down, Xia Jinyuan said to Yi Qian, Let me tell you some good news. What good news? Yi Qian didn't know what was going on. I just received the news this morning that our 3-day holiday has been reduced to 10 days. So I immediately came over to tell you the good news, said Xia Jinyuan. 10 days of vacation. Yi Qian was both surprised and pleasantly surprised. The 10 days of vacation came unexpectedly. Originally, they were still thinking about how to spend the 3 days of vacation. Now that the 10 days of vacation had suddenly come, they could spend it properly. You two young people should discuss how to spend the 10 days of vacation. Old Master Fu stood up to give the two young people some space. We can spend the 10 days of vacation at home and enjoy the new year, Yi Qian said happily. Do you have any other plans besides enjoying the new year? Xia Jinyuan asked with a smile. Other plans? Yi Qian deliberately paused for a moment. He looked at Xia Jinyuan's expression and said, shouldn't this be arranged by the boyfriend? The girlfriend just needs to be responsible for following us. Captain Xia, how do you plan to arrange our vacation? Chapter 5464. Yi Jian was also thinking about this rare long vacation. Other than spending it with her family, she naturally wanted to spend it with her boyfriend. But when it came to dating, she was not familiar with the business. Xia Jinyuan looked at her happy face. She was like a cat basking in the warm winter sun. He felt relaxed just by looking at her. He raised his hand and rubbed her head. He smiled and said, okay, I'll arrange it. Yi Jian started to talk about the mother and daughter of the Du family whom she had met in the hospital last night, as well as what Madame Li had said. She told Xia Jinyuan everything. I know that Madame Li wanted to annoy me in front of old Madame Qin on purpose. She even mentioned your mother on purpose. Oh, how did you refute her? Xia Jinyuan was interested in this question. He did not care what Mrs. Xiao thought at all. He was overjoyed that his girlfriend had insulted someone for him. As for his girlfriend helping the Qin family, V8 had already told him that she had to be careful of Qin Xiao. V8 even analyzed the advantages of Qin Xiao for him. Although V8's analysis was sharp, Qin Xiao had Mrs. Qin as his mother, so there was nothing else to say. Yi Qian did not feel that there was anything to hide about her helping the Qin family, so she focused on Mrs. Xiao. I told Mrs. Li that if Mrs. Xiao really wants to know about your recent situation, she will find a way. She doesn't need to get it from me. She knew how Xia Jinyuan felt about Mrs. Xiao. She knew that he did not want to see Mrs. Xiao and was not interested in being a peacemaker. She respected Xia Jinyuan's decision. Then she asked, do you think I'm the most unlikable daughter-in-law? Xia Jinyuan laughed out loud. Honey, a daughter-in-law needs a certificate. Where's yours? Also, you are the favorite daughter-in-law of our family, Xia. You have nothing to do with Mrs. Xiao. Yi Qian felt very good about having someone to back her up. She was very confident in refuting others. As for Mrs. Xiao, she felt that she really couldn't be a daughter-in-law that could please her. The two of them accompanied the old man for lunch. At the dining table, the smile on the old man's face never disappeared. He originally thought that his granddaughter would leave early in the morning, but in the end, she suddenly had an extra 10 days of leave. The old man smiled so much that the wrinkles on his face deepened. After lunch, the old man said that he was going to the hospital to visit old Master Qin. Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan naturally accompanied him. Old Master Qin, who had been rescued in time, was in good health. When he saw his friends coming in, he immediately said that he wanted to be discharged. I hate this place the most in my life. I don't even like the air, but they all want me to be hospitalized. He sounded angry, but in fact, the old man sat down and glanced at his old friend. You're so young, yet you're still so pretentious. Aren't you happy that a junior is filial? I can totally go home and be filial. Staying in this hospital is boring. Old Master Qin said as he shook his head. He despised the hospital, not the filial juniors. As for Qin Dingbua and Qin Yi, old Master Qin was disgusted with them. The first thing he did when he woke up was to chase them out of the hospital, leaving only Qin Ying, V8, and Qin Xiao to accompany him. After chatting with the two old men, Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan were chased away by the old man and left to their own world. Chapter 5465. At the elevator entrance, they bumped into Madame Li and Du Jiai again. The moment the four of them met, the atmosphere instantly froze. Du Jiai saw Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan talking and laughing intimately. Thinking of Qin Xiao's attitude towards her last night, she became even angrier. Her eyes were full of jealousy and unwillingness. She didn't understand why Qin Xiao still didn't believe that Yi Qian was a slut who flirted with other men. Last night, she was intimate with him, but the next day, she was talking and laughing with another man. Couldn't they see through her true colors? Madame Li was even more surprised. Last night, she saw that this wretched girl was intimate with Qin Xiao and old Madame Qin. Why was she with this family Xia and old Madame Qin the next day? She really had some tricks up her sleeve. He really had these outstanding juniors in his hands and was playing them in circles. Madame Li looked at Yi Qian and said, "Oh, Miss Yi, why didn't you accompany old Madame Qin and Qin Xiu today? Last night, you were still attentively accompanying them in the middle of the night. Maybe if you accompany them for a while longer, old Madame Qin will let you into the Qin family." Madame Li's words were full of sarcasm and sarcasm. She said these words in front of Xia Jinyuan on purpose to humiliate Yi Qian. After mocking Yi Qian, Madame Li turned to Xia Jinyuan and said, "Old Six, you don't know. Last night, Miss Yi was attentively accompanying Qin Xiu and old Madame Qin in the middle of the night. People who didn't know better would think that she was the granddaughter-in-law of the Qin family. Today, she is with you. This girl is really something." Madame Li said earnestly, "Jinyuan, your mother and I are friends. As an elder, I can't bear to see you being deceived by this girl. You don't meet many girls in the army, so you can't see people clearly. Annie has many good girls here that I can introduce to you. You should get to know more girls. There are many good girls in this world." Xia Jinyuan glanced at Madame Li coldly and said, "Thank you for your concern, Madame Li, but I don't need it. You should save it for your son. After all, one has to marry a virtuous wife, and a virtuous wife will bring less trouble to the husband." Xia Jinyuan did not reject Mrs. Li directly. Instead, he gave her a slap in the face. A virtuous wife leads to less trouble for her husband? Was he implying that she wasn't virtuous? Family Xia, this brat was really not likable. His mouth was so sharp that it was like a sharp knife. Once he opened his mouth, it would make people's hearts bleed. Madame Li, who was secretly angry, did not show it on her face. She said calmly, "It's not that I want to meddle in your business. It's just that your mother is pitiful. She cares about you very much. I've been inquiring about your recent situation. Sai, what's the grudge between mother and son? Your mother was in the wrong back then, but as a son, you can't always blame your mother, right? Don't you think so? What's more, your mother hasn't had it easy all these years. Because of you, she has had a hard time all these years. Listen to Annie's advice and have a good chat with your mother. Don't let your mother suffer. My heart aches when I see her like this. As a son, how can you be so cold? Madame Li, you seem to be very concerned about other people's affairs. However, as a junior, I advise you to take care of your own family's affairs instead of meddling in other people's affairs." Xia Jinyuan put his hands in his pockets and looked down at Madame Li with a sharp gaze. "Your own family's affairs are in a mess, and you still have the heart to meddle in other people's affairs? What will happen if your husband finds out?" Chapter 5466. She was using the Deputy Chief of Staff to intimidate Mrs. Li. Mrs. Li could not put on airs in front of Mrs. Qin, but in front of young people like Xia Jinyuan, she always put on airs. Because of her relationship with Mrs. Xiao, she always pretended to be an elder and lectured Xia Jinyuan. However, Xia Jinyuan was not someone to be trifled with. Mrs. Li never succeeded in putting on airs as an elder, and she always got angry. "Sixth brother, you really don't know how to appreciate kindness." Madame Li was so angry that her eyes turned cold. She gritted her teeth and said, "I'm just reminding you out of the goodness of my heart. What kind of aristocratic family is the Xia family? How could you allow such a malicious girl to dirty your family's door? Your father and your grandparents will never agree to this. Are you going to fall out with your family because of her?" Mrs. Li realized that she could not persuade Xia Jinyuan, so she had to use the family Xia as an elder. Yes, she continued with her plan. Yi Qian, who had been listening to the conversation, felt sorry for Mrs. Li. Mrs. Li was quite smart. When she first met her, she was so intimidated by her aura that she did not dare to act rashly. When she remembered that she was Yi Ying's mother-in-law in her previous life, she was especially careful in front of Mrs. Li. However, as time went by, she realized that although Mrs. Li was powerful, she was not a smart person. Thinking about it, if Mrs. Li was powerful in her previous life, she would not have been used by Yi Ying to make things difficult for her. Xia Jinyuan did not want to waste any more time on Mrs. Li. He smiled faintly and said, Thank you for your reminder, Mrs. Lee. Our family Xia likes my girlfriend very much. The elevator is here. Mrs. Lee, Miss Du, please go ahead. They did not want to be in the same elevator as them. They would rather let them go down first and wait for the next one. Mom, let's go. Du Jiayi held Mrs. Lee's arm and said, there's still a long way to go. Don't worry. Aunt Xiao can speak for us when the time comes. Madame Li calmed herself down and glanced coldly at Yi Qian. She stood calmly beside Xia Jinyuan with a cold expression on her face. Madame Li gritted her teeth in anger. She came from a small family and was not presentable. Yet, she was treated like a treasure by the young masters of the Xia and Qin families. How infuriating. Her daughter. When Madame Li thought of how her daughter was looked down upon by the Qin family, she was so angry that she felt dizzy. Mrs. Li and Du Jiayi entered the lift first. The moment the doors were about to close, Du Jiayi glared at Yi Qian. Is that Yi Qian the reincarnation of a vixen? Why are they all siding with her? In the elevator, Du Jiayi, who was biting her cheeks, stomped her feet angrily. No matter how much we say, they don't listen at all. I'm afraid that she's the reincarnation of a vixen. Otherwise, why would they all be charmed by her? She's very capable. Madame Li's eyes flashed coldly and viciously. Don't worry. This kind of person will fail miserably sooner or later. Fail miserably? No, she did not want Yi Qian to fail miserably. She wanted her to never be able to make a comeback. Du Jiayi gritted her teeth as she thought to herself. A moment later, she asked cautiously, Mom, do you think she's the one who killed Uncle? I don't know. I don't know if this is a trap set by Li Ronghuan. We have to investigate carefully to find out. Madame Li was still cautious. She reminded Du Jiayi, don't do anything rash. I still have to investigate. Don't alert the enemy. Do you understand? Chapter 5467. Du Jiayi could not bear any longer. After some thought, she pursed her lips and said, Mother, I have a feeling that Yi Qian will be a big problem if we keep her around. Regardless of whether she is Uncle's murderer or not, we can't keep her around. If she kept her around, who knew how much trouble she would stir up? Even Grandma Qin was on her side. Why don't we look for grandfather's old subordinates to help us investigate this matter? I'm sure they'll be willing to help us out on account of grandfather's face. Du Jiayi was a little hesitant to take action right away. That's feasible, but we need to find someone reliable. Madame Li nodded. Indeed, she could go to her father's old subordinates. Many of them were promoted by her father. Naturally, they would be willing to help them investigate the truth for the sake of this relationship. She could also borrow their hands to get rid of Yi Jian. That'd be *TCH. However, this was a serious matter. It was not easy to find someone casually. She had asked them before, but they had all been rejected. This time, she could not be as rash as before. After Grandfather Li passed away, the Li family had fallen. Their loyalty had also been broken. Li Ronghuan dared to come home and behave atrociously because the Li family's loyalty had been broken. I don't know if Family Xia was telling the truth. Why would Family Xia like a country bumpkin? How could he accept her so easily? Mrs. Li was still thinking about this matter. If Family Xia had really accepted this girl, then it would be even more difficult to deal with her. Mother, what do you think of Family Xia's status? How could he accept such a *TCH with no family background so easily? Maybe Xia Jinyuan was just lying to us? Du Jiayi had already belittled Yi Jian to the bottom of the mud. She felt that all of this was impossible. Even if it was possible, she would not back down. If the Li family and the Du family could not get rid of her, then what about Li Jun and Li Qin? Yi Qian was their father's murderer. She put these things aside for the time being. What she couldn't accept the most was how that wretched girl could so easily win the Qin family's old madam's favor. How would he be liked by Family Xia? It was impossible. Xia Jinyuan must be lying to them. Let's find out more about this matter. Madame Li's face darkened. She didn't want to fail before she even made a move. She still needed to confirm the Qin family and Family Xia's attitude towards Yi Qian. Du Jiayi, who was full of thoughts, could figure out what Mrs. Li was worried about. After thinking for a while, She lowered her voice and whispered, "Mom, don't forget about Aunt Xiao." Right now, Xia Jinyuan is still unwilling to forgive Aunt Xiao. But after all, they are mother and son. How can there be an eternal hatred between mother and son? Right now, Xia Jinyuan is unwilling to forgive Aunt Xiao. Maybe Yi Qian is the one who instigated it. When Xia Jinyuan and Aunt Xiao reconcile, why do you think Aunt Xiao would want such a woman who instigated their relationship to be her daughter-in-law? When that time comes, she will only be abandoned. Du Jiayi could not hide the ruthlessness in her words. Moreover, the image of Yi Qian being abandoned flashed before her eyes. She sneered coldly. Aunt Xiao hasn't seen Xia Jinyuan for so many years. If she finds out that Yi Qian is behind all this, how do you think Aunt Xiao will react? Will she make a scene at Family Xia? Although Family Xia won't protect Aunt Xiao, she can at least let Family Xia know about Yi Qian's existence. Mom, why don't you ask Aunt Xiao for a walk or a meal? Chapter 5468. Du Jiayi's suggestion tempted Mrs. Li. If she wanted to lay a finger on Yi Qian, she had to first sever the relationship between Yi Qian and Family Xia. It was easier to deal with the Qin family, since it was mainly Family Xia. Moreover, according to Xia Jinyuan, he seemed to have brought that little b asterisk tch back to Family Xia. This was the most difficult part. If that was the case, and Family Xia was very satisfied with that little b asterisk tch, then if she laid a finger on Yi Qian, it would be the same as going against Family Xia. Even old Du did not have the guts to go against Family Xia. Once he found out that she had laid a finger on someone approved by Family Xia, the relationship between the couple would become tense. Old Du was already very angry because of Chu Hai. They had to make a good plan. After thinking about it for a while, Mrs. Li nodded and said, "You're right. I can ask your Aunt Xiao out for tea some other day." Seeing that Mrs. Li had taken her advice seriously, Du Jiayi was secretly delighted. Maybe we can help Aunt Xiao fix the relationship between her and her son. When the time comes, Yi Qian won't need us to deal with her anymore. As long as that be asterisk tch, Yi Qian's relationship with Family Xia was severed, it would be much easier for her to get out of here. Oh no, not her. It would be Li Jun and Li Qin who would come out. As for her, she would just sit on the sidelines and reap the benefits. Just thinking about it made her happy. If she really is your uncle's murderer, then we can't let her live a happy life. Mrs. Li, who had a cold expression on her face, took Li Ronghuan's words to heart. Although she had always looked down on Yi Qian and even thought that Yi Qian did not have the ability to do so, the seed of suspicion had been planted. She had to find someone to investigate and confirm this matter. Mrs. Li planned to sever the relationship between Yi Qian and Family Xia, while secretly sending someone to investigate. Yi Qian, who was standing in the elevator, looked at Xia Jinyuan and teased her boyfriend. "Why do you let them leave just like that? Didn't I have to introduce you to a girl? Do you really want me to get to know other women?" With one hand in his pocket, Xia Jinyuan naturally held Yi Qian's hand with the other. His dark eyes darkened as he looked at his bold girlfriend. "It's a pity that you're the only one in my heart. If you want me to find another woman, I won't be happy." His tone became serious. Yi Jian immediately realized that she had stepped on his minefield. She immediately stopped talking. "I was just saying it casually." Embarrassed, she turned her face away. The elevator was about to reach the first floor. Yi Qian quickly changed the topic. "We're almost there. Don't say such things again in the future." Seeing that she immediately realized her mistake, Xia Jinyuan pinched her cheeks and said, "I don't feel good about it. Let's talk about it in the future. I'm going to punish you." Yi Qian nodded, indicating that she would never say such things again. The elevator arrived. Just as she was about to enter the elevator, Xia Jinyuan's hand appeared in front of her. "I think it's necessary for you to declare your sovereignty over me to others." Xia Jinyuan opened his palm. "You also have to tell others that I'm already taken. No one can have any ideas about me. I'm not loyal to anyone." Yi Qian looked at Xia Jinyuan's serious expression and nodded with a smile. She placed her hand in his palm and said, "Yes, Captain Xia. Let's go. I'll take you somewhere." Xia Jinyuan held Yi Qian's hand tightly and calmly walked through the crowd on both sides of the elevator. Yi Qian realized that it was fortunate that there were only the two of them in the elevator. Otherwise, they would have been laughed at. Chapter 5469. After leaving the hospital, Xia Jinyuan drove Yi Qian all the way to a bustling area in Beijing. The parking lot was also bustling with people coming and going. As soon as Yi Qian got out of the car, Xia Jinyuan immediately held her hand. She rarely walked hand in hand with him like this. Today they were wearing casual clothes. Walking hand in hand, they were no different from other couples on the streets. When they arrived, Yi Qian stopped and asked, "Is this the place you wanted to bring me to?" She thought he was going to take her somewhere. She didn't expect that he was going to take her to a movie theater. This surprised her a little. Neither of them had been to a movie theater before. "But I thought you were going to take me to some mysterious place. Keep it a secret along the way. The movie theater is one of the dating places for couples. There's no such thing as a secret." Yi Qian looked at the excited man and couldn't help but tease him. "You're not creative. You said that the movie theater is one of the dating places for couples. How about we be a normal couple today?" Xia Jinyuan raised his hand and touched his nose to hide the awkwardness in his heart. He really wasn't creative. There was nothing he could do about it. He was inexperienced. Last night, he thought for a long time about how to go on a date. In the end, he could only think of this movie theater. It was a classic dating place. He couldn't go wrong. Of course. Yi Qian held Xia Jinyuan's hand tightly and walked into the movie theater. "I've never watched a movie with you before. Are there any discs? Gunfights in Hong Kong? We can choose from those." She didn't like the movie next to it. Xia Jinyuan didn't like it either. But this was a date. They couldn't possibly go on a date without a gunfight. After entering the movie theater, their appearance and temperament stood out among a group of ordinary people. They instantly attracted a lot of attention. The man looked at Yi Qian, and the woman looked at Xia Jinyuan. They kept glancing at them from the corner of their eyes. Even though they were only a short distance away from the ticket counter, they attracted a lot of attention. Xia Jinyuan was very calm. Although he had never been in a relationship before, he had been a famous person since he was young. This was nothing to him. What he was thinking about now was what movie to watch. The two of them had been in the army all these years and were often out on missions. They rarely participated in the most common entertainment of ordinary people. The two of them looked at each other, not knowing which movie to choose. The ticket seller looked at the couple in front of him and said, "This movie is a newly released romance movie. It's suitable for couples. Many couples have chosen this movie. There are only a few tickets left for this movie. How about this?" Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan looked at each other and asked, "Everything else is full, so we can only choose this one. We can't make a wasted trip, right?" "I'm fine with anything." Anyway, he didn't care what the movie was about. What was important was that the two of them could sit together quietly. "That's it then. Hello, please give us 2 tickets." Yi Qian turned to speak to the ticket seller. In the end, he asked, "Are there really no seats for the other shows?" The ticket seller couldn't help but laugh. "We really don't have any more. If we did, we would definitely sell them." The girl was quite beautiful and elegant. Why did it seem like it was her first time at the cinema? It really was her first time at the cinema. Yi Qian expressed that she really didn't know the market. Xia Jinyuan didn't know either. He bought the tickets and handed them to Yi Qian. He paid for them himself. Chapter 5470. The Spring Festival was approaching, so there were many people in the theater. The theater was full of people. Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan found their seats in the back row and sat down. They were surrounded by couples who were behaving intimately. From time to time, they would feed each other cola and popcorn. The two of them sat in their seats in a serious manner, except for their hands that were clasped together. Xia Jinyuan looked around and felt that he could learn from them. TSK, TSK, TSK. One of the classic dating venues. There must be a reason for it. Holding hands, kissing, and hugging are the most normal. I'll give it a try later. Deep in his heart, Colonel Xia was ready to make a move. The movie started very quickly. It was indeed a romantic film. There were many scenes of the male and female leads kissing and hugging each other. Whenever there was a scene like this, the couple sitting on their right couldn't help but hug and kiss each other. Their actions were quite loud too. Yi Qian, who was sitting at the side, felt a little awkward. Yi Qian didn't know where to look. He could only look helplessly at Xia Jinyuan. Sitting next to Xia Jinyuan was a couple who looked about 16 or 17 years old. After a while, the young couple also hugged each other and kissed as if there was no one else around. This made Yi Qian feel even more helpless. They were so young, but their actions were not young at all. The restless Xia Jinyuan squeezed Yi Qian's hand. The corners of his mouth turned up slightly, revealing a mischievous smile that Yi Qian was most familiar with. Are you envious of them? Do you want us to do one too? There are so many people here. Yi Qian refused. Kissing like this, cough, cough, cough. She felt like she was still in kindergarten. No one will notice us. Xia Jinyuan gestured to Yi Qian, who was surrounded by a group of lovey-dovey couples, who sat upright and still while watching a movie. He leaned forward slightly, and his thin lips touched Yi Qian's earlobe. His hot breath spilled over. This is a classic dating venue. There must be something special about it. The image of the two of them kissing flashed across Yi Qian's mind. Moreover, there were so many people watching. Just thinking about it made Yi Qian's face burn up. She was still a kindergartner. Xia Jinyuan was a brave man, but also a humble and studious one. He did not give Yi Qian a chance to escape. Suddenly, he held Yi Qian's face in his hands and planted a light kiss on her forehead. After the kiss, he said, "How is it? Wasn't that normal? Don't you feel weird?" It's still all right." Yi Qian touched her forehead and smiled sweetly. "It seems it's all right, but I still have to let her take it slow. Let me take it slow first. Let's take it slow again." Xia Jinyuan was amused by her. Take it slow again? How could she even think of that? In the end, he pulled Yi Qian's head to rest on his shoulder. Yi Qian quickly scanned her surroundings. Seeing that everything was fine, she boldly leaned on Xia Jinyuan's shoulder. The two of them intertwined their fingers. Yi Qian leaned on Xia Jinyuan's shoulder. The heater in the theater was strong, so she fell asleep leaning on him. It was not until the movie ended that Xia Jinyuan woke Yi Qian up. "Get up. The movie is over." Xia Jinyuan patted Yi Qian's shoulder. Yi Qian woke up from her sleep and stretched. At this moment, she looked like a girl of her age. Watching the movie really made her sleepy. Chapter 5471. Yi Qian was not the only one who fell asleep. Xia Jinyuan also fell asleep, although he fell asleep a little later than Yi Qian. He only opened his eyes when he heard the commotion. Then, he saw the couple next to him giving them strange looks. They had probably never seen their boyfriend and girlfriend fall asleep when they came out to watch a movie. Is it over? What did the movie say? Yi Qian did not expect that he would fall asleep in such a public place without any warning. Just thinking about it made him feel incredulous. "I think it's better if we don't watch in the future. I'm worried that I'll fall asleep again." The movie is over. The male and female leads are still together. Xia Jinyuan was not able to move as Yi Qian was leaning against him. Then, he fell asleep again and did not finish watching the entire movie. Although he did not finish watching it, he could guess the direction of the story. The relationship between the two of them was a little lonely. They had not experienced any life and death situations together, so it was a little far-fetched for them to love each other to death. However, a movie was just a movie. Then what are we going to do next? Yi Qian was more interested in the upcoming itinerary. She was full of energy after a nap. Then let's eat and go shopping? How about we just treat ourselves as ordinary people today? Xia Jinyuan touched his nose guiltily again. When he got home today, he had to do his homework and figure out how to spend the holidays. Okay, Yi Qian agreed immediately. She did not care about the process anyway. She only cared that she was going to spend it with Xia Jinyuan. "I will do my best to study it." Xia Jinyuan still felt that their limited holiday dates should be different. They could not just spend it casually. "I will follow your instructions," Yi Qian said playfully, but it was rare to see him like this. They had been in the military for a long time, so the life of a normal person was far away from them. They did not know what was so interesting about a normal date. They were just not familiar with their work. "Speaking of food, I've heard of a good place. We can try it together. If it's good, we could bring Grandpa and Grandma to try it next time, Xia Jinyuan said. Grandpa and Grandma. Yi Qian's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Are you coming over together later? Xia Jinyuan really didn't know what to do with his girlfriend. He kissed her fiercely twice before giving up. Why would I ask Grandpa and Grandma to come over for our date? Yi Qian, who was shocked, patted her chest. Thank goodness it wasn't. Thank goodness it wasn't. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been led around by Captain Xia and kissed here and there. Yi Qian knew that this was a matter of course, but when she thought about how the elderly had seen her holding hands and kissing Captain Xia, she still felt a little embarrassed. I was shocked when you suddenly mentioned your grandparents. Yi Jian still felt that her heart was beating fast at this moment. Xia Jinyuan suddenly said, but Grandpa and Grandma said that our holiday this time is long enough. Why don't we get engaged first? After we get engaged, I think you won't be so shy anymore. Why was she shocked all of a sudden? Xia Jinyuan knew at a glance. In front of the elderly, his little fox was very well behaved. Yi Qian, who had finally calmed down, was so shocked that he choked and coughed. Get engaged? This. Why are you in such a hurry? My dad isn't back yet. Chapter 5472. Yi Qian was completely unprepared for the sudden mention of engagement. Engagement. In her eyes, once they got engaged, they wouldn't be far from marriage. She had only graduated a little over a year ago, and she wanted to get married? She wasn't against marriage, but she felt that it was too soon. Xia Jinyuan didn't think it was too soon at all. When he came back yesterday, Old Master and Old Madam Yi had specially mentioned it. Even Old Man Xia felt that they could get engaged first. Later, he thought about it and felt that it was possible. Seeing that she was shocked, Xia Jinyuan pulled her into his arms and said unhurriedly, yes, there's no need to rush. We still have a long holiday, so we can get engaged in a few days. As for my future father-in-law, Grandpa said that he'll think of something. The main thing is to inform my future father-in-law. There was a faint light in his dark eyes, like a cheetah watching its prey. With my future father-in-law's blessings over the phone, we can still get engaged first. From watching movies and shopping to suddenly talking about engagement, Yi Qian felt that it was too sudden. No, she had to slow down. Let's go eat first. Yi Qian's face flushed red. She looked down at her shoes. Why don't we get engaged first? I'll go home and ask Grandpa. If Grandpa doesn't have any objections. No, there's also Dad. I have to ask Dad's opinion too. Yes, I have to ask Big Brother too. Xia Jinyuan couldn't help but smile when he saw the faint blush on her face. His baby wasn't against engagement, but she felt that it was too sudden. That was true. Last night, when he heard it, he also felt that it was too sudden and was a little shocked. He thought that Old Master and Old Madam Yi were in a hurry to see him get married, because there was something wrong with their health. Xia Jinyuan didn't want to give her too much pressure. He let go of her shoulder and held Yi Jian's hand instead, holding it tightly in his palm. Sure, let's talk while we eat. It wasn't easy for Yi Qian to come out of his embrace, but he held her hand tightly. Yi Qian felt that her palms were sweating. Why are you holding my hand so tightly? It's hot. It's close to the new year, and there are a lot of people outside. If I don't hold on to you tightly, what if you're kidnapped by someone else? How am I supposed to find a wife then? Where are you going to cry? Xia Jinyuan joked and placed their intertwined hands on his chest. I want to keep you in my heart. You can't go anywhere. Yi Qian, indeed, it was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. He had returned the joke he had made at the hospital this afternoon. Also, please don't be so mushy with your words. It gave me goosebumps. Knowing that he was doing this on purpose, Yi Qian narrowed his eyes and took a step closer to Xia Jinyuan. Then Captain Xia will have me in his grasp. If I really run away, you'll have nowhere to cry. She was delicate and naughty. Only in front of Xia Jinyuan would Yi Jian, who had always been calm, show some of her feminine side. Her feminine side made Xia Jinyuan's handsome eyebrows smile. Run away? If you really run away one day, I will definitely find you. You can only be mine, and I can only be yours. He was very domineering, confident, and full of love. Yi Qian pursed her lips and smiled. Run away? She really hadn't thought about it. It was almost noon. Xia Jinyuan prepared to take Yi Qian to the next rendezvous. He drove her to an old restaurant in Beijing. Yi Qian let him take her wherever he took her. Chapter 5473. The two of them had not been so free for a long time. There were no disturbances, no wars, and no life and death pursuits. They just held hands and looked at each other like an ordinary couple as they strolled around and chatted. They enjoyed the prosperity of the capital and felt the stability of life. They abandoned their identities and were just an ordinary couple today. When they got into the car, the two of them smiled warmly. Sometimes, they didn't say anything and just looked at each other. They felt happy. After driving for about an hour, they arrived at the restaurant that Xia Jinyuan had booked. It had an antique architecture and decoration. There were big red lanterns hanging outside, which made the restaurant look jubilant. The business inside was quite good. All the seats were full at noon. If Xia Jinyuan hadn't called in advance to book a seat, it would have been difficult to eat this meal. Since they were in the army for many years, the two of them didn't have a strong appetite for food. They were not picky and didn't have the habit of eating leftovers. They finished all the dishes that were served. When the waiter served tea to the two of them, he saw the empty plates on the table and seemed to have guessed something. He smiled and poured the tea before slowly leaving. Although the restaurant was antique, the cost was not high. It was considered a commoner's expense. There were some people who ate here, just like the two of them, who carried out the CD operation to the end. Yi Qian waited for the waiter to leave. He took a sip of the hot tea and said to Xia Jinyuan, "The waiter looked at us just now and seemed to be saying that we can eat a lot." He was a little embarrassed to see her. He didn't say that we can eat a lot. He just saw through our identities. Xia Jinyuan also took a sip of the hot tea. He laughed when he saw Yi Qian's eyes widen because of his words. He said, "Don't be nervous. There's a military guest house in front of this place. It's not surprising that the waiter knows about us. We're the only ones who would clear our plates." The military cafeteria strictly prohibited leftovers. Once a habit was formed, there would be no leftovers outside. It was only limited to leisure time. If they were on a mission, any habits formed in the military would have to be changed to prevent any clues from being exposed. Yi Qian finally understood. This is the first time I've encountered a waiter who saw through our identities because of the CD operation. It has never happened before. Rubbing his stomach, Yi Qian smiled and said, "I'm a little full. I'll have to eat less for dinner. If you really can't do it, run 5 kilometers when you get home. Don't rest for more than 10 days. When you return to the army, you'll gain 5 kilograms. When we get back to the team, I'll help you lose 5 kilograms in 10 days." Xia Jinyuan refilled her tea and suddenly changed the topic. "We'll be spending the spring festival at home this year. Why don't we pick a day for the spring festival and meet each other? What do you think?" Yi Qian paused. He knew what he was talking about. The parents of both sides met and confirmed the engagement. She held the tea and nodded. "I'll go home and tell Grandpa about this. I'll also tell Dad and Big Brother." In the end, she had to get to this step. It didn't matter if it was earlier or later. Anyway, she could do it either way. If it was earlier, then so be it. She and Captain Xia had been together for a long time. They could get engaged already. "Okay, you can mention to Old Master first. Let's hear what he has to say." Xia Jinyuan smiled so brightly that his eyes seemed to sparkle. He looked very satisfied. After finishing the tea, Xia Jinyuan saw that it was still early. He insisted on completing the daily schedule for a normal couple and prepared to take Yi Qian to the mall. Chapter 5474. He was ashamed to say that after being together for so many years, he had only gone shopping with his baby once. Moreover, their relationship had not been confirmed at that time. Since then, he had never gone out with her again. During this vacation, Xia Jinyuan planned to make up for all the years that he had mistreated Yi Qian. Since they were going to spend the new year at home, Xia Jinyuan wanted to buy his wife some beautiful clothes and spend the new year in a glamorous manner. Once they got engaged, she would be his wife. She would not be able to run away. Yi Qian was also in high spirits. She even asked Xia Jinyuan if he had enough money in his wallet today, and if she could buy anything she wanted. Xia Jinyuan took out his salary card from his wallet and handed it to Yi Qian. I've been in military school for 4 years and worked for several years. I've never used this card. It's definitely enough for me to spend. To buy luxury goods. If it didn't buy too much, it should be enough. Suddenly, Xia Jinyuan felt that he was a little poor. He even had to consider whether his salary was enough to buy luxury goods. Perhaps it was because he had been talking about Mrs. Xiao behind her back for the past 2 days, but as soon as they stepped out of the private room, they bumped into Mrs. Xiao. They were talking with their heads lowered and did not see Mrs. Xiao immediately. It was Mrs. Xiao, who came in with the waiter, who saw Xia Jinyuan first. "Yuan," she called out excitedly. She seemed a little unsure as she hurried over. "Yuan, is that really you?" The two of them, who were talking with their heads lowered, looked up when they heard her voice. Xia Jinyuan glanced at the excited Mrs. Xiao and looked away coldly. He ignored Mrs. Xiao, who was walking towards him, and held Yi Qian's hand without looking at her again. Mrs. Xiao, who had been treated coldly by Xia Jinyuan, did not give up just because of his indifference. She liked him so much that her heart was filled with excitement. She did not expect to see her son, whom she had not seen for a few years, while having dinner with an old friend here. All these years, Mrs. Xiao had been asking about Xia Jinyuan and how to contact him. However, Xia Jinyuan had always been in the military and could not be contacted at all. Her family Xia had refused to give her contact information. Who would have thought that she would be so lucky to meet her here? Madame Xiao was so emotional that tears welled up in her eyes. She stood in front of Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan. Tears welled up in Madame Xiao's eyes as she said, "Are you that unwilling to see your mother? Mother has been looking for you for a long time." This was her son. This was her son. How could he forgive her for the mistakes she had made? What did she have to do to gain his forgiveness? Faced with Mrs. Xiao's tears, Xia Jinyuan remained calm and unmoved. "Mrs. Xiao, what can I do for you?" "Yuan, you still can't forgive Mom. You're not even willing to call me Mom? No matter what, we are mother and son connected by blood." Mrs. Xiao was crying so hard that her voice was choked with sobs. She looked at Xia Jinyuan with a pained expression and said in a forlorn voice, "What can I do for you to forgive me?" Mrs. Zhao's sudden appearance attracted the attention of many passers-by. Many people gathered around to watch the show. They did not know the inside story and only saw Mrs. Xiao as pitiful, so they were prejudiced against Xia Jinyuan's indifference. Yi Qian narrowed her eyes and tugged at Xia Jinyuan's hand. She took half a step forward and stood in front of Xia Jinyuan. She smiled and said, "Hello, Auntie. I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is not the place to talk. It's better not to stand in the middle of the road and obstruct other guests." Chapter 5475. She didn't want to see anyone pointing fingers at Xia Jinyuan, so she decided to be the bad guy. "Who knew? What does my conversation with my son have to do with you, miss? Why are you interrupting us? Where is this young lady's upbringing?" Madame Xiao looked at Yi Qian and said bluntly, "If you think you're in the way, you can leave." Madame Xiao looked at Yi Jian from head to toe. Where did this little vixen come from? She actually dared to seduce her son like this, and even dared to interrupt. Chenglan was probably right. Yuan was avoiding her, his mother. That was her responsibility. Xia Jinyuan grabbed Yi Qian's hand and looked at her. He then said to Madame Xiao, "Madame Xiao, I hope you can show some respect to my fiancé." "Fiancé?" Madame Xiao raised her voice a few octaves, and her voice sounded a little shrill. "Yuan, how is she your fiancé? Does your father know? Do your grandparents know?" "Fiancé? He actually wants to marry a country bumpkin." After she finished speaking, she suddenly saw Xia Jinyuan's eyes turn colder than before. Madame Zhao's heart trembled, and she realized that she had overreacted. She quickly adjusted her expression and softened her voice. "I don't mean anything else. Yuan, you're still young. You don't have to rush. This lady looks very young too. You can understand her better and consider marriage when you're older. It'll be more suitable." Madame Xiao thought about what Madame Li had said to her and felt extremely dissatisfied with Yi Qian. The Qin family, the Li family, and the young masters of the family Xiao family were all people she wanted to climb up to. She would climb up whichever branch she could climb up to. How could there be such a good deal in this world? Xia Jinyuan immediately knew that Madame Li must have said something. His cold, handsome face turned a little hostile. Madame Xiao, you don't have to worry about my affairs. I'll say the same thing again. You left me behind to pursue your own happiness. Now, please continue to stay away from me and live your own life. I'll never need you to worry about me. Isn't that what you want? Mrs. Xiao had been working outside for so many years, so she naturally had the ability to be flexible. She said to Xia Jinyuan with a fawning expression, Yuan, Mom is just concerned about you. Why don't we talk somewhere else? Mom booked a private room. Let's go in and talk. Miss Xiao had asked her friends out today to find out more about Xia Jinyuan. She did not expect to meet him here, which saved her a lot of effort. As soon as she finished speaking, a lady of the same age as Madame Xiao walked out of one of the private rooms. They had been listening for a while, and Madame Xiao had also mentioned it to them. They were clear about the grudges between mother and son, so they naturally stood on Madame Xiao's side. Therefore, they all tried to persuade Xia Jinyuan, Yuan, your mother has been working hard to find out about your whereabouts. In order to get news about you, your mother has been begging people everywhere. As long as she knows a little bit about you, she will be happy for a long time. A few days ago, she even told us that as long as she knows about you, she would be willing to give up her life. It seems that your mother's painstaking efforts have really moved God. He specially arranged for you and your son to meet here today. Since you've met your mother, you should have a good chat. There is no overnight hatred between mother and son. If you have something to say, just talk it out. Don't be angry. Chapter 5476. Madame Zhao's close friends were not ordinary people. They were all shrewd and knew exactly what to say at the right time. They would never make a mistake at a critical moment. Seeing that Madame Xiao was in a hurry and knowing some things about Madame Xiao and her son, a few of them secretly exchanged glances and hurriedly made excuses to leave. Those who did not have an excuse were dragged away by the other madams to make room for Madame Xiao to talk. Madame Xiao did not ask them to stay and did not even send them off. She stood where she was and apologized profusely. Then she said sincerely, I'm really sorry this time. Let's meet again next time. I'll treat you to a good time next time. Sure. We all know that you have something important to do. Who would blame you? You should have a good chat with Yuan. It's not easy to meet him. He can't waste his time on us. We have nothing to do every day. Let's meet again anytime. That's right. You don't have to be so polite. We're friends. If you really want to be polite, you can teach me flower arrangement and painting later. You're smart. She's so busy, but she still has to teach you flower arrangement and painting. She really knows how to think. Shulan, don't listen to her nonsense. It's good for us to get together, drink tea, eat dinner, and massage. Her friend's understanding made Madame Zhao's expression much better. The smile in her eyes deepened. Okay. I'll do as you say. I won't send you off. See you next time. While Madame Xiao was sending them off, Yi Qian secretly pulled Xia Jinyuan twice and said softly, Don't be in a hurry to leave. If we want to leave, we'll wait for them to leave first. Yi Qian was worried that if they left now, these madams who seemed to have some status would definitely spread rumors. Wouldn't that ruin Captain Xia's reputation as a family? The meticulous Yi Qian considered this more thoroughly than Xia Jinyuan. Xia Jinyuan's face darkened. He really had no interest in bonding with Madame Xiao. Yuan, why don't we go in and have a chat? We haven't had a good meal together for so many years. After sending her friend away, Mrs. Xiao, who no longer had any scruples, begged, I don't have any extravagant wishes. I just want to sit down and have a meal with you. We haven't eaten at the same table for too long. Sorry, we've already had dinner. Xia Jinyuan remained indifferent and unmoved by Ms. Zhao's pleading. After he finished speaking, he suddenly smirked and said, It's been a long time since we last ate at the same table. Wasn't that your choice? Yuan, can't you accompany me for a meal? Madame Xiao tugged at Xia Jinyuan's sleeve. She was almost 60 years old, but she took good care of herself. Even as she pleaded, she still looked a little pitiful. It was really hard to tell that she was a woman who was almost 60 years old. Just a company mom, okay. It was the end of the year, and the restaurant was bustling with people. The onlookers had dispersed, and now some diners had stopped in their tracks. Yi Qian pursed his lips, and his expression darkened. It wouldn't be good if this continued. Captain Xia, we can't continue to waste our time here. There are too many guests coming and going. Yi Qian tugged at Xia Jinyuan's sleeve and said, just go in with her. It won't be a problem to talk to her. It won't affect you either, right? Since Yi Qian had come forward to persuade him, Xia Jinyuan would naturally listen. Moreover, he was really tired of Madame Zhao's pitiful behavior. Chapter 5477. Since she chose to leave in a carefree manner, why did she come back and act pitiful? Xia Jinyuan, who didn't like being threatened like this, nodded slightly. This was the only way now. He could only let her do as she wished. This was the only time. There would be no next time. Xia Jinyuan pursed his lips with a dark look in his eyes. His nod made Ms. Xiao overjoyed. She even shed tears and choked. Okay. Let's go to the private room. We'll talk in the private room. Ms. Xiao glanced at Yi Qian discreetly. Her teary eyes were full of curiosity. She didn't expect that she would be indebted to this little vixen. She also didn't expect this little vixen to have such a great influence on her son. Her son listened to everything she said. Shenlan didn't exaggerate. It seemed that she had to ask more carefully. She couldn't get anything out of Yuan, so she could only ask Xia Jinyuan. Yuan, have a seat. Why don't we eat something? Or we can have some tea and chat. After entering the private room, Ms. Xiao was very attentive. She hadn't seen Xia Jinyuan for a long time. When she was young, she didn't think it was a bad thing to be separated from her son. Now that she was older and lonelier, she regretted her choice. Back then, even if she had chosen to leave, she should have taken Yuan with her. That way, she wouldn't have fallen into such a lonely situation. Don't bother. I'm just here for a while. Xia Jinyuan felt that he had nothing to talk about with Ms. Xiao. Since she left with someone back then, there was no need for her to come back now, let alone restore their relationship. He didn't even want to sit. He looked at Ms. Xiao coldly, as if she was a stranger. Ms. Xiao, we're already in the private room. If you have something to say, why don't you just say it? Yuan, can't we sit down and have a good chat? Faced with Xia Jinyuan's indifference, Ms. Xiao felt her heart break and began to cry again. Why can't you talk to me? Ms. Xiao, we have nothing to talk about. I thought we made it clear last time. Xia Jinyuan did not want to waste any more time with Ms. Xiao. He had already made up his mind, and he would not change it just because of a few words from her. Yuan, are you still blaming me? I'm regretting it now. Madame Zhao's voice was hoarse as she clutched her chest. At this moment, she was no longer as fearless as she was when she left back then. She would definitely not regret it for the rest of her life. Now that she was old and had returned to her country, she thought of kinship and mother-son relationship. Hence, she wanted to make up for it. She believed that as long as she sincerely tried to make up for it, everything would pass and everything would develop in a good direction. Ms. Xiao, the past is the past. It's useless to talk about it now. In Xia Jinyuan's eyes, her regret was like a joke. He did not want to talk to her about it at all. You chose your own path. Even if you regret it, even if you have to walk it alone, you still have to walk it. Please, don't make others cooperate with you because of your regret, okay? Yuan, Madame Zhao's whole body trembled. This was her son. This was her son. Why? Why was her son so heartless? Miss Xiao, you've already met my people and we've talked. We still have something to do, so we'll take our leave first. After speaking, Xia Jinyuan pulled Yi Qian and walked out. Chapter 5478. Mrs. Xiao cried out and anxiously urged him to stay. Yuan. She chased after him and tried to test Xia Jinyuan again. After taking 2 steps, Xia Jinyuan seemed to have thought of something. He stopped and turned to look at Mrs. Xiao. Mrs. Zhao's face immediately lit up when she caught up with him. Yuan. Xia Jinyuan stopped and smiled. I'm sure Mrs. Xiao thinks I'm heartless, right? Once upon a time, Madame Xiao was just as heartless. You probably haven't forgotten how I chased after you when you left that day, right? And you, in order to get rid of me quickly, threw stones at me. The joy on her face disappeared, and Ms. Zhao's eyes were filled with fear. Xia Jinyuan felt even more amused. It seemed that Ms. Xiao had really forgotten about it. No, that wasn't right. She didn't forget. She just thought that he had forgotten. Or perhaps she thought that he was too young to remember and didn't know what happened on the day she left. Unfortunately, Xia Jinyuan's memory was too good. He still remembered what happened that day clearly. As long as she mentioned it, he would remember everything. If she didn't mention it, he wouldn't remember anything. I still remember Mrs. Xiao throwing stones at me and yelling at me to get lost. Get as far away as possible and don't drag you down. Also, Mrs. Xiao said that you don't have a son like me and I don't have a mother like you. What? Have you forgotten what you said that day? I don't think so. Judging from your expression, you haven't forgotten. Mrs. Zhao's face couldn't be described as pale anymore. It was as pale as ash. Are you on? She cried. Tears rolled down her cheeks like pearls from a broken necklace. No, it's not like that. Are you on? I was still young back then and didn't know the consequences of what I did. Are you on? I was wrong. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. She begged. Her delicate makeup was smudged from crying, revealing a fragile look of old age. Mom was wrong. I beg you. Please forgive Mom, okay? No. Xia Jinyuan shook his head and looked at Ms. Xiao coldly. You didn't want me a long time ago. You were young then, and I'm young now too. So, I can't forgive you. No. It's just that I can't recognize you again. In my world, I don't need my mother anymore. So, please don't appear in front of me as my mother. Also, she is my fiancée. This is my business. Our family Xia has nothing to do with Ms. Xiao. After Xia Jinyuan finished speaking, he left the private room without looking at Ms. Xiao, who was crying so hard that her entire body went limp. Yi Qian was dragged out of the restaurant by Xia Jinyuan. Xia Jinyuan's face was tense, and he did not look well. Captain Xia, if we leave like this, will Madame Li continue to look for Madame Xiao? Yi Qian was only worried that Madame Xiao would tell other people, such as Madame Li, after she left. There's nothing bad about it. I don't have anything to say to her. What's there to listen to? Listen to her talk about how she's been trying so hard to find out about me. Listen to her talk about how regretful she is. Xia Jinyuan smiled faintly. If she wants to look for Madame Li, she can go ahead. I'm just afraid that you'll be criticized by other people. Yi Qian pursed his lips slightly. I'm afraid that Madame Xiao won't stop here. Besides, there's still Madame Li and Captain Xia. I'm afraid this matter will continue. Chapter 5479. It was not that she sympathized with Mrs. Xiao. After all, everyone had to bear the consequences of their own actions. If she had known this would happen, she would not have done it in the first place. Since she had done such a thing, why would she regret it and ask for forgiveness? It was not a good idea to let things go on like this. Others can say whatever they want. I don't care about these things. Xia Jinyuan said, everyone knows what she did back then. If she wants to use filial piety to pressure me, family Xia will not agree. Mrs. Li will definitely say something. The reason she did this is very simple. She used Madame Xiao to test your position in my heart and your position in the Xia family. Mrs. Li is the best at using others to do her dirty work, and Mrs. Xiao, Xia Jinyuan said, and suddenly smiled. Mrs. Xiao is not simple. She knows that Mrs. Li is up to no good, but she still continues to be on good terms with her. It must be because she wants to get information about me and family Xia from Mrs. Li. Mrs. Li thought that she was playing with Mrs. Xiao, but she was also being used by Mrs. Xiao. After all, the only people she knows who have some contact with family Xia and knows a little about family Xia is the Li family. If she can't even keep in touch with the Li family, then Mrs. Xiao will have to get to know someone else who has some contact with family Xia. It's too troublesome for her. She might as well continue to be on good terms with Mrs. Li. Madame Xiao is really something. After Xia Jinyuan finished speaking, he suddenly leaned over and kissed Yi Jian. You will only be fooled by them if you play tricks in front of these madams. Don't underestimate Mrs. Xiao. Although this matter is not over, she will not ruin family Xiao's reputation. Just now, There was a madam who is the wife of the CEO of Limin Group. Mrs. Xiao did not know this woman before, but now she is on good terms with her. It seems that Mrs. Xiao has used family Xiao's reputation to gain some benefits. Don't worry, silly girl. She won't ruin family Xiao's reputation. Don't think about it anymore. I will handle it. Good girl. Xia Jinyuan patted her head again. He did not want to upset his girlfriend because of these trivial matters. Mum, Yi Qian replied. He did not mention this matter again, and just treated it as an accident. Let's go shopping, Xia Jinyuan said as he held Yi Qian's hand. He stopped thinking about Madame Xiao. Instead of thinking about this, he might as well think about what kind of clothes to buy for his wife later, or what kind of gift to give to the old man when he came to pay his New Year's greetings. Let's go shopping. What should we buy? Yi Qian asked with a smile. Let's buy it. We don't even have basic clothes. First, I need to buy you some clothes. Otherwise, when you visit the family Xia, Grandpa and Grandma will say that I didn't dress their granddaughter-in-law up nicely. Xia Jinyuan said, by the way, I'll pick what kind of gift I should give to Grandpa when I visit your family during the New Year. You are not usually so formal. Yi Qian smiled until his eyes turned into crescents. It's also to give you extra points, Xia Jinyuan said with a chuckle. In the army, they always wore military uniforms. Although Yi Qian looked good in anything, this was a rare opportunity. It was better to let her dress up and look like an ordinary girl. Chapter 5480. On a date. Xia Jinyuan looked over, and so did Yi Qian. Perhaps they had taken a fancy to the same dress, but Yi Qian, who rarely wore casual clothes, had a change in expression. When she came back to her senses, her first reaction was to drag her boyfriend's arm and walk outside. She had to drag it out. If she didn't drag it out with his personality, he would buy it for her. Xia Jinyuan was still imagining how stunning his girlfriend would look in that dress when he was suddenly dragged by Yi Qian. His first step made him stumble, but he immediately steadied himself and was dragged to the door by Yi Qian. Let's go home. Let's go home. I don't like to stroll around. Let's just sit at home and be comfortable. Yi Qian, who was sweating profusely, was glad that he had reacted in time and had good reflexes. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Comrade Xia Jinyuan was also glad that he had quick reflexes and good reflexes. Otherwise, he would have been dragged down by his girlfriend. When he heard this, he grabbed Yi Qian's wrist and leaned over. The corners of his mouth curled into a mischievous smile. Are you sure you want to go home? How about we go back to my apartment? Other than sitting and chatting, we could do other things, such as... Like what? Yi Qian didn't give him a chance to speak. He immediately covered his mouth with his hand and glared at him with his clear and bright eyes. Keep your thoughts to yourself. Don't say it again. Anyway, she knew that he wouldn't say anything nice. Although Xia Jinyuan's mouth was covered, it did not stop his mouth from moving. His thin lips moved slightly, and he kissed Yi Qian's palm. The soft touch made Yi Qian jerk his hand back. He was amused and helpless at the same time. Captain Xia, can you be a little more careful? She spoke normally, but she did not know that Xia Jinyuan loved to tease her when she was normal. Holding her hand, Xia Jinyuan raised his eyebrows slightly. Are we going shopping or going home? Yi Qian glared at him. Shopping. How infuriating. She was threatened by him again. Before entering the shop, Yi Qian snorted, I must tell Grandma Xia and Grandpa Xia that you bullied me. Bully you? I wouldn't dare. Xia Jinyuan brought Yi Qian back to the store with a smile on his face. It was almost the end of the year, so the business in the store was pretty good. Even so, the busy shop assistants were the first to notice the two of them. Lien Ben saw that the guests around him were still picking and choosing, so he apologized and hurried over to greet the two of them. The two of them did not look at the salesperson. Xia Jinyuan pulled Yi Qian towards the same dress that he had seen before. However, after a few steps, his gaze locked onto another dress. It was a dress that was as red as fire. Yi Qian followed Xia Jinyuan's gaze and fixed his eyes on the bright red dress. The two of them looked at each other. Yi Qian's calves trembled slightly. Captain Xia, you wouldn't take a fancy to this dress, right? The color was all right, but the style was quite trendy. It was a lace V-neck with half sleeves. The sleeves were also made of the same lace as the dress. It was semi-transparent and slightly sexy. The dress itself was also very sexy. It was a slim fit cut that showed off the body. Not only did the figure have to be slim and slender, but it also had to have some chest area. Comrade Xia Jinyuan, who had personally measured Yi Qian's chest area, was the most accurate in his heart. Even if it was not a big chest area, it was definitely medium chest area. Moreover, Yi Jian's skin was so fair that she wouldn't get tan no matter how much she was exposed to the sun. If she got sunburned, her skin would peel off and her skin would be as white as porcelain. Therefore, Xia Jinyuan thought that his girlfriend would definitely look good in this sexy, slim-fit red lace dress. Note: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5480, Panda A Date. Chapter 5481. To give pointers, Yi Qian's calves were trembling so much that her scalp went numb. Every cell in her body was screaming, and every hair on her body was pulling her to run outside. She really wanted to run away. You want to leave? Xia Jinyuan saw right through her and smiled at his girlfriend who was trying to run away again. Let's go back to my apartment and have a private chat. He didn't want to. Unexpectedly, Yi Qian wanted to run away even though every cell in his body wanted to. But he couldn't run even if he wanted to. The young salesperson stood beside the two of them and looked at the most eye-catching situation in the store. From the sight of the male customer, the salesperson immediately took down the red dress and enthusiastically recommended, "Sir, you have good eyesight. This dress is our new style. We have a set of sizes, and only this lady can wear it. This is the only one left. Besides, it's going to be the New Year soon. Wearing such a red dress is the most festive occasion." Yi Qian looked at the dress and instinctively took a step back. He refused. It's inconvenient to wear a dress. Let's go. Inconvenient? No, no, no. Madam, it's very convenient. Don't think that it's a slim fit. It's actually a fishtail. It won't affect your walking at all. The salesperson didn't understand what Yi Qian meant. She thought that Yi Qian felt that the dress might be inconvenient to wear. So she quickly explained enthusiastically, "Look at the hem. Our designer has thought about it. It definitely won't inconvenience you. Feel the fabric again. It's very soft lace. It's very comfortable to wear. Wearing it will definitely not restrict your activities. And if there's anything inconvenient, your boyfriend can help you, right?" She could tell that the boyfriend liked it, but the girlfriend was a little hesitant. The salesperson, who had a pair of sharp eyes, immediately turned to Xia Jinyuan and said, "Sir, your girlfriend is very beautiful and her skin is very good. I have never seen anyone who is more suitable to wear this red dress than her. You'll definitely be amazed when you put on later. Why don't you ask your girlfriend to try it on?" The person he wanted to buy the most was Xia Jinyuan. The salesperson's enthusiastic recommendation moved him even more. He reached out to take the red dress and put it in Yi Qian's hands. His eyes were as gentle as water. "Good girl, go try it on." She was really looking forward to seeing how this red dress would look on Yi Qian. It would definitely be, as the salesperson had said, it would definitely be stunning. "I won't be used to it. Let's not do it." Yi Qian, who was used to wearing trousers, held the red dress as if it was a hot potato. It was very strange for her, who was used to wearing trousers, to wear such a dress. If you're not used to it, you can slowly get used to it. It's rare for you to come out, so you have to gain something. Otherwise, Grandpa and Grandma will pinch my ear again and scold me for not accompanying you properly. Yesterday, when they returned home, Master Xia and old Madam Xia had specifically asked their grandson and granddaughter-in-law about their holiday arrangements. When they found out that there were no holiday arrangements, Master Xia was stunned. Old Madam Xia immediately pinched Xia Jinyuan's ear and scolded, "Brat, tell us, did you bully Xiaoyi? Ah, you brat. Are you very stingy when it comes to dating? So stingy that you don't even accompany your girlfriend to go shopping? What about your salary card? Where is it? Have you used the money in it? You brat, Grandma has never seen anyone like you in a relationship before. You don't send flowers, and you don't accompany your girlfriend to go shopping. Stingy. Stingy. I've never seen a girlfriend as stingy as you." If it were my daughter, if you were so stingy, I definitely wouldn't agree to let my daughter be with you. Marriage bah. You're a toad lusting after a swan's meat. Dream on. Tip: enter panda literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5481, Panda Pointers. Chapter 5482. To teach without a teacher after scolding Xia Jinyuan, old madam immediately instructed old master Xia to call their fifth son, Xia Yun, back to the old mansion that very night. Xia Yun, who was about to go to a nightclub to meet a few clients, received a call from old master Xia. He was so frightened that he immediately looked around to see if old master Xia had sent someone to watch him. Knowing that old madam wanted him to hurry back to the old mansion, Xia Yun did not dare to delay and quickly drove back to the old mansion. He was frightened the whole way back, thinking that he would be scolded. When he arrived at the old mansion and parked the car, Xia Yun's back was covered in cold sweat. After being schemed against by his second aunt, he restrained himself a lot. When there was a social event that he could not refuse, he would accompany them, but he would always stop at a certain point. When he arrived at the old mansion and saw the rarely seen Xia Jinyuan, Xia Yun was stunned. What was even more shocking was that old madam ordered him to teach Xia Jinyuan everything he knew about how to woo a girl and make her happy. Xia Yun taught him everything he knew and patted his chest in front of old madam, promising that he would not hold anything back for the sake of his brother. Hence, today's arrangement was made. Watching a movie, eating, and shopping were all taught by Xia Yun to Xia Jinyuan. He also taught Yi Qian how to date based on his current age. As for the big tricks, Xia Yun did not mention them because he was worried that his sick son's wallet would not be able to handle it. In their circle, buying a car or luxury goods for their girlfriend could cost up to 1,000,000 yuan. However, these were not permanent. It was to coax her so that it would be convenient for them to leave in the future. Therefore, Xia Yun taught Xia Jinyuan very carefully. He did not teach Xia Jinyuan the tricks of their circle. Xia Jinyuan was a studious and self-taught person. He removed some of Xia Yun's playboy dating tricks and came up with today's arrangement. He definitely had to buy some clothes. One set was not enough. He had to buy at least 5 sets inside and out. It was rare for him to have 10 days of vacation, and it was also the new year. Naturally, he had to dress beautifully. His girlfriend was beautiful and elegant. She looked valiant in her military uniform and was an outstanding beauty in casual clothes. Xia Jinyuan then gestured for the salesperson to bring out a few sets of clothes and skirts. With one arm holding onto the clothes, he pushed Yi Qian to the entrance of the fitting room with the other hand. He then handed all the clothes in his hand to Yi Qian and coaxed her to go in and try them on. Hurry up and try them on. Show me the speed of changing in the team. Finish one set in 2 minutes. The salesperson wanted to follow them, but was rejected by Xia Jinyuan. He didn't even take a good look at it, so how could he let an outsider take advantage of it? Xia Jinyuan did not choose a high-end custom-made luxury store. Instead, he chose a high-end department store that was neither too expensive nor too cheap. It was very suitable for their spending power. Luxury goods were not a problem for Xia Jinyuan, but Yi Qian would never cooperate. Yi Qian, who was pushing the clothes into the room, was carrying a small mountain of clothes. He looked troubled and said, "Do you really want to try it on? Is it okay if you don't try? You really want to try it on?" Xia Jinyuan had a serious look on his face. He lowered his head and leaned over to look pitiful. "Come, look at your boyfriend's ears. Are they still red?" They were all twisted by the old madam. Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan's interaction made the salesperson laugh. Yi Qian awkwardly hugged the small mountain of clothes and went into the fitting room. "Sir, why don't you rest on the sofa and wait for your girlfriend?" The salesperson whispered. She already regarded Xia Jinyuan as a big client. Although their store was not a top brand, it was still considered a big brand. The clothes were not cheap either. Xia Jinyuan gave Yi Qian 6 or 7 pieces of clothes in one go. Naturally, he became a big client that the salesperson had her eyes on. Tip: type Panda Literature into the search engine and you'll find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5482, Panda Literature to Teach Without a Teacher. Chapter 5483. Waiting to Marry. The title of the Ace military marriage book has been changed. Xia Jinyuan, who rarely shopped, continued to look around the store with interest to see if there were any clothes that would suit his girlfriend. The more interested he was, the more enthusiastic the salesperson became. "Sir, what are you looking for your girlfriend? This jacket is very suitable for your girlfriend. It matches the jacket just now. You can wear it to visit relatives and friends during the new year. You'll definitely be praised by your elders." Every time she recommended something, Xia Jinyuan would pick it up and look at it. The salesperson smiled so widely that her eyes narrowed. This was a man who doted on his girlfriend. She had to do her best to recommend it. Outside, a couple walked in and left quietly. V8 immediately realized that his captain was also in the store and quickly pulled them away before Cheaning noticed. He had no choice. His girlfriend cared about her brother and even said a few words in front of him. His girlfriend's mother, on the other hand, said more. She also told him to stay away from Xia Jinyuan in the future. He was the most notorious devil in the capital and was the most troublesome. V8 felt like he had discovered an incredible secret about his captain. The devil Mrs. Chin was talking about was the one who didn't follow the right path and didn't make any progress in military school. But in reality, their captain was the pillar of the military and the beacon of the team. V8 didn't tell Mrs. Chin about his relationship with Xia Jinyuan, but he didn't explain anything to his girlfriend, Cheaning. Cheaning wasn't that gullible. The more he said, the more suspicious she would become. So, he might as well tell her. When Mrs. Chin mentioned Xia Jinyuan, she only looked at her boyfriend with a dark look in her eyes. She didn't ask anything. V8, who was leaving with his girlfriend, pointed at the store next door and smiled calmly. "Let's go over there and take a look. Old Madam and Old Master will definitely like Tang's suits." Qin Xiao, Mrs. Chin, and Qin Yi were all in the hospital. Grandpa Qin didn't want his own granddaughter to be taken care of, so he ignored V8, who had specially come to visit the Qin family. He and Mrs. Chin made up an excuse that they wanted to buy new clothes for the new year and send them out to go shopping. V8 really thought that he needed to buy clothes. Cheaning was amused by her boyfriend's innocence. She specially asked the doctor and said that he could be discharged after 3 days of observation. Only then did Cheaning feel relieved and leave the hospital. However, just as she entered the mall and was about to enter the store to take a look, her boyfriend, Yang Shulin, carried her out. He was really hugging her. He wasn't holding her hand, nor was he dragging her. He didn't dare to pull her. The quick-witted V8 picked up his girlfriend's waist and easily carried her to the entrance of a traditional Chinese clothing store before letting her down. Qining, who was standing properly, was still in a daze. She received countless gazes. She still hadn't recovered from her shock when V8 spoke to her. On the other hand, Yi Qian dawdled in the changing room for a long time before finally walking out in the red lace dress with a fishtail design. Then, she worriedly went back into the changing room and tugged at her dress in the mirror. Looking left and right, she felt awkward. Looking at her exposed calves, Yi Qian wanted to wear pants again. Xia Jinyuan and the salesperson came over with a bunch of clothes. He didn't realize that Yi Qian was already dressed and walked over on his own. Yi Qian, who was looking at herself in the mirror, walked out awkwardly. When she saw Xia Jinyuan, she immediately turned her back to him and said embarrassedly, "Help me pull up the zipper at the back. It's already at my waist. I can't even reach it with my hands." Xia Jinyuan, who wanted to see his girlfriend in a dress, stopped moving. The person who had her back facing him was wearing a red dress that was like fire. The background was graceful as she stood there. The bride-to-be sat quietly on the stage, waiting for her beloved man to marry her. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. To Be Married, the title of the Ace military marriage novel has been changed. Chapter 5484. So tempted, the salesperson was so stunned that her eyes almost popped out of their sockets. That figure, that aura, that tiny waist. What she said earlier about being stunning and having an aura were just pleasantries she usually used in sales. Customers loved it, and it would increase her sales. At this moment, She finally understood what it meant to be stunning. Even a woman like her was stunned. Xia Jinyuan's unwavering gaze was so scorching that it made Yi Qian's back feel slightly hot. She was already embarrassed, so she pursed her lips. Her brows were like flower buds that were about to bloom. She glared at the motionless Xia Jinyuan with her sparkling eyes. When she realized that Xia Jinyuan's gaze was off, Yi Qian felt her face burn up. She moved her feet and went back to the changing room to change her clothes. The fiery red dress was indeed beautiful, but it was too beautiful and eye-catching. She was not used to being eye-catching. She threw the clothes in her hands onto the sofa next to her and strode over to Yi Qian to block his path. "Don't move, I'll pull you." His voice was as deep and mellow as a cello. It was like a hook that hooked onto one's heart. Yi Qian's neck turned pink. She was so shy that it made her look even more beautiful. Xia Jinyuan, who was trying his best to calm himself down, accidentally touched her creamy skin. The high defenses in his heart were instantly shattered. He was distracted and hurriedly raised his head. In the end, he saw that Yi Qian's swan-like neck had turned crimson. Xia Jinyuan was no longer distracted, but his heart was rippling like water. His mouth was dry, and his calves and thighs were all tensed up. There was even a cluster of flames in his deep, dark eyes that burned even more intensely. Yi Qian felt that the back of her neck was on fire. Her waist couldn't help but straighten, and then her curves were so beautiful that the salesperson couldn't help but swallow. This figure, this face, this aura, this is not a human. This is a seductress. The young salesperson's heart was screaming. Xia Jinyuan, whose fingers were trembling, finally managed to pull the zipper of Yi Qian's dress up. Yi Qian almost couldn't stand still. She originally wanted to ask the salesperson to do it, but she didn't expect him to directly rush over. After the zipper was pulled up, Yi Qian felt her waist and chest tighten again. Yi Qian was so nervous that she raised her voice to try on the dress. She turned slightly and revealed the most intoxicating angle of shyness. She said softly, "Isn't it awkward? I already said it's awkward. Let's just buy pants." She tugged at her skirt uneasily, wanting to pull a little longer. "Don't move." Xia Jinyuan put his hand on Yi Jian's shoulder and made her look at the person in the mirror with him. "Look, the person in the mirror. She's really beautiful." Xia Jinyuan whispered into Yi Qian's ear. His voice was a little hoarse. "You were already beautiful when you wore camouflage clothing, but now you're so beautiful that I can't take my eyes off you." He wasn't exaggerating, it was the truth. The salesperson had already slipped out and called her colleagues over to take a look. "No, it's not that exaggerated." Yi Qian kept her head down and didn't dare to look at the mirror. She was still tugging at her collar, feeling that it was a little too tight and made her feel uncomfortable. "Can I change now? It's a little small, I can't breathe." "Small? No, it's not small at all." Xia Jinyuan slowly grabbed Yi Qian's hand that was covering her collar. His hot breath blew into Yi Qian's ear. "How is it small?" "It's not small. It's definitely not small. It's just right." Yes, Yi Qian was referring to the clothes. Comrade Xia was obviously referring to something else. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. So moved. Chapter 5485. You're beautiful. Seeing that she kept her head down and did not dare to look up, Xia Jinyuan encouraged her to look up. "Don't be afraid. Look at yourself in the mirror. You're really, really beautiful. You're so beautiful that I wish I could marry you today and stay in the room alone to admire you. When we get married, shall we wear red wedding dresses? At that time, she would definitely be even more beautiful than today. Red wedding dress, red veil, take my most beautiful bride. Red wedding dress, red veil, wedding, the most beautiful wedding." Yi Qian finally raised her head. She could finally see her reflection in the mirror better. Her red dress was like fire, and her complexion was like a new piece of jade. Beside her stood a man in a black coat. He was tall and slender, tall and straight like a pine tree. One in red and one in black, they were a perfect match. She was the bride waiting to be married, and he was the groom waiting to be married. Images flashed through his mind, and Yi Qian's watery eyes were filled with anticipation. The sound of footsteps came from outside. Yi Qian retreated from Xia Jinyuan's arms in shock. A salesperson with bright eyes appeared at the door of the fitting room. I'm sorry to disturb you. Can you pair it up? Your boyfriend's taste is really good. You look so elegant in this red dress, and the length of the dress is just right, revealing your calves. It's a pity that you don't wear a dress with such beautiful calves. If you wear a pair of high heels, you'll definitely be the center of attention. She had already bent down to put down the high heels and was looking forward to Yi Qian wearing them. Probably seeing that Yi Qian was not used to wearing high heels, the salesperson smiled and said, "The heels are very low. It's easy to walk." High heels? She hadn't worn it yet. Yi Qian's face was full of rejection. Wearing a dress already made her feel uncomfortable. If she were to wear high heels, she refused. Of course you have to match this dress with high heels. Don't worry, these are the shortest and best heels in our store. Please try them on. After the sales assistant finished speaking, she bent down to pick up the high heels she had put down and prepared to put them on for Yi Qian. Stunned, Yi Qian took a small step back. His face was full of fear, and he refused without hesitation. I can't wear high heels. Don't try it on me again. Why don't you get a try? Our pair of high heels are really easy to wear. It doesn't tire your feet at all. It's very suitable for a lady like you who doesn't often wear high heels. Don't worry, we women are talented in wearing high heels. We'll get used to it after walking a few rounds. I really can't control this. Yi Qian kept waving her hands in refusal. She would rather walk barefoot than walk in high heels. She even turned to her boyfriend for help. What were they waiting for? Hurry up and save her. The salesperson was too enthusiastic, so enthusiastic that she didn't know what to do. Miss, if you don't know how to wear high heels, you can slowly get used to it. When the two of you get married, you will definitely have to wear high heels under your wedding dress. If you don't get used to it now, it will be too late on the day of the wedding. The salesperson persisted in persuading Yi Qian. She then turned to Xia Jinyuan and said, "You can help her walk around. I'm not lying to you. She will definitely look more classy in high heels. If I don't look good, you too can hit me. I won't hit you back." Yi Qian was speechless. "Miss, I'm just buying clothes and shoes. I won't hit you." Yi Qian had lived in a single social circle for many years. Now that she was in society, she was so naive that she didn't know how to reject others. Especially when the salesperson was so enthusiastic, she was even more at a loss. She knew how to respond if the salesperson was a little more fierce and domineering. She really didn't know how to reject someone who was being gentle. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine and you will find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5485. Panda You Re Beautiful. Chapter 5486. Full of joy, Xia Jinyuan wanted to help his girlfriend, but the salesperson reminded him that she might need to wear high heels on her wedding day. No, try them on? It's okay, I'll help you. We have so much time to shop. Let's try everything we haven't tried before. Let's get used to it. If it doesn't work, we won't wear them. Not even on our wedding day. Xia Jinyuan whispered into Yi Qian's ear and slowly held Yi Qian's hand. I'm here. Let's try it on. When he heard the salesperson talk about marriage, Xia Jinyuan was overjoyed. V8's parents were already talking about marriage, so, as the captain, he couldn't fall behind. The two families would be able to settle this matter during the Chinese New Year, and he had to prepare to submit his marriage report. Since the man was so proactive, it was as if the salesperson's mouth was smeared with honey. She really poured out baskets of flattery. Yi Jian had always thought that her Captain Xia would not be easily blinded by flowery words. However, she never expected that her Captain Xia would really be blinded by flowery words. That's right, Mississippi, don't worry. Although our main business is selling clothing, these shoes are also produced by our brand. We guarantee that they are comfortable to wear. You'll know if they're good or not after you try them on. If they're not good, our shop won't force you to buy or sell them, right? The salesperson's ability was amazing. Xia Jinyuan was tempted, and even Yi Qian was tempted. She thought about how she had never worn high heels in her 2 lifetimes. Should she really try them on? She was still hesitating, but Xia Jinyuan didn't give her a chance. Come, try them on. After speaking, Xia Jinyuan, who was full of boyfriend value, picked up Yi Qian. The young salesperson was so excited by the scene in front of her that her eyes turned red. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Too handsome. Too handsome. Oh. The extremely handsome Xia Jinyuan picked up Yi Qian and gently placed him on the sofa. At the same time, he made sure that his girlfriend, who was wearing a dress, was not exposed. What was the expression on Yi Qian's face? Well, Yi Qian was expressionless. She was already blushing to the point where she could only pretend that she was very calm and collected. She was already used to it. The salesperson who chased after them was a talented person. She didn't get the title of sales champion for nothing. She immediately handed the shoes in her hands to Xia Jinyuan. At this time, the boyfriend had to personally put on the shoes for his girlfriend. Comrade Xia was indeed a quick learner. The moment he received the shoes, he was enlightened and understood. The tall man bent his knees and squatted in front of his beloved princess, like a prince courting his beloved princess. He helped Yi Qian put on her high heels. Yi Qian was at a loss of what to do. His face was so red that it looked like it was dripping blood. Hey, I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself. She stammered and raised her hand to block Xia Jinyuan's hand. She was still embarrassed in front of so many people. In order to make this big deal, the salesperson spared no effort in saying nice things to please Xia Jinyuan. She had to please her financial backer. In fact, she felt that this gentleman's eyes were filled with love when he looked at the woman. There was no need for her to say such pleasing things. Even as an outsider, she could see that the love in his eyes was overflowing. However, she was born with a glib tongue. Her upper lip touched her lower lip, and she continued to say nice things. When the two of you get married, the groom will have to find the bride's wedding shoes for her to wear before he can take her out. So it's good for Sir to try it out first. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine and you will find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5486. Panda Full of Joy. Chapter 5487. It's going to be beautiful. Ace Military Marriage changed name. Most of the people who tried on red shirts and dresses during the new year, especially young couples, were preparing for their wedding. The salesperson saw this and kept talking. Although Xia Jinyuan was happy with the salesperson's words, he knew that the salesperson was exaggerating. But he was happy to do it. That's right, let me give it a try. Xia Jinyuan couldn't hide the smile on his handsome face. From Yi Qian's point of view, he looked like he couldn't wait to get married tomorrow. Seeing Xia Jinyuan like this, Yi Qian wanted to slap his forehead and show it to others. But after thinking about it, he couldn't bear to do it. It was Xia Jinyuan's first time putting shoes on for his girlfriend. He held Yi Qian's small and delicate feet. Xia Jinyuan took a second look at them and gestured with his hands. They were really small, just big enough for him to hold. Yi Qian was scalded by the heat in his palms and couldn't help but retract her legs. Xia Jinyuan quickly tightened his grip and helped Yi Qian put on the high heels. Okay, try standing up. Xia Jinyuan got up and helped Yi Qian up. Although he looked calm, his heart was in turmoil. He wanted to immediately carry his girl home and hide her. Yi Qian's legs were stretched by the high heels, making her legs look slender and straight. Paired with the red dress, she looked completely different from when she first came in. Hold on to me, I have to get up slowly. Yi Qian felt unsteady as soon as she stood up. Xia Jinyuan quickly held on tightly to Yi Qian and said gently, "If you fall, I have a cushion. Be brave." His girl was really adorable to the bone. She had never been so scared, even on the battlefield. A dress and a pair of high heels were enough to make her tremble. Yi Qian was really scared. However, the salesperson felt that as long as a person was beautiful, even if it was a fall, it would still be beautiful. It still doesn't suit me, Yi Qian said pitifully as he looked at Xia Jinyuan. Take your time to get used to it. Take a few steps, I'll support you. Xia Jinyuan was still afraid that Yi Qian would fall, so he supported Yi Qian tightly. Yi Qian was supported by Xia Jinyuan as they walked a few steps. She felt really uncomfortable. The heels were indeed not very high. She remembered seeing Du Jiai in a pair of 10-centimeter high heels at the hospital today. She walked as if she was walking on flat ground. She was really amazing. Yi Qian felt as if she was being supported by someone all the time. It was as if she was disabled. She still found it hard to accept this feeling. I think I'd better change into a pair of flats. My center of gravity is unstable and it will seriously affect my walking. My balance is also very poor. If I lose balance, I'll definitely fall. Yi Qian pointed out the main problem. High heels and a red dress were indeed beautiful, but it was really not her cup of tea. Xia Jinyuan did not think so. When he helped Yi Qian out, two men were sitting on the sofa next door. When they saw Yi Qian come out, they looked over with obvious surprise in their eyes and kept staring at Yi Qian. Then, without Yi Qian knowing, Comrade Xia became jealous again. Seeing that Xia Jinyuan agreed, Yi Qian sat down and quickly took off the pair of high heels as if they were hot potatoes. Try these clothes. Xia Jinyuan pointed at the clothes in the salesperson's hands and the clothes on the sofa. So many. Yi Qian's guts were trembling. He did not look like he was happy, but more like he was looking at a pile of trouble. Isn't it fine as long as there are enough clothes to wear? Besides, you won't be able to wear all these clothes. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5487. Pandate's Good to be Beautiful. Ace Military Marriage. Chapter 5488. Pleasing, it would be such a waste to buy it and not be able to wear it. Yi Qian was a thrifty person. In her previous life, she had to learn to be thrifty because of her poverty. In this life, although she no longer had to work hard to make a living, she did not become impetuous because of that. She was still the real Yi Qian. Whether it was in her previous life or this life, Yi Qian had never compared herself to others in terms of living. Others had their own way of living and their own difficulties. What you could see might only be the glamorous side of others, but not their entire being. Therefore, Yi Qian had always maintained a peaceful attitude. No matter how poor she was, no matter how good her life was, she would always be Yi Qian. She would always be herself. She would never change or lower her head because of that. She had an unyielding spirit. In her previous life, her life had been so difficult. So why did Ying still refuse to let her go? It was because Yi Qian's stubbornness scared her and made her feel uneasy. Humans would only worry about gains and losses when they were afraid and uneasy. If you could move forward without fear of gains and losses, your life would be filled with beauty. Even if you were poor, you would feel at ease. Today, Yi Qian was still the real Yi Qian. She did not forget her roots just because her family background had changed. Although Yi Qian was very happy with Xia Jinyuan's generosity, she still considered the practicality of it. The clothes were flashy but impractical. She would not be able to wear them more than a few times. The clothes were indeed beautiful, but it would be a little difficult for her to move around. However, it was still her boyfriend's affection. No matter how much Yi Qian felt that it was a waste, she would not spoil the mood and say that this was not good or that was not good. However, she still had to say what needed to be said. What's wrong with you today? Why did you buy so many clothes for me? Yi Qian hooked her arm around Xia Jinyuan's and smiled with her dark eyes. Then, she narrowed her eyes slightly and looked at her boyfriend with rippling eyes. Today, Captain Xia was very strange. Very strange. Don't we have 10 days of vacation? From today onwards, we can change into a new set every day. Xia Jinyuan, who was enlightened, felt that he had wronged his girlfriend. He wanted to use this short vacation to make up for it. This made Yi Qian feel that he was different from usual. The main thing was that during the holidays in the past, the two of them to relax and go shopping. It was probably because of old Master Li's fall that the Li family was unable to make a name for themselves. With one less threat, the two of them had the time to go out for a walk. Since we're here, Yi Qian too, Xia Jinyuan coaxed. He had a feeling that he couldn't sell all the good things in the shop to Yi Jian. Maybe he thought that he was a little abnormal. So Xia Jinyuan simply admitted honestly, "Last night I talked with fifth brother for half a night. Only then did I understand that there are many ways to please a girlfriend. As for me, I don't have any experience. I always thought that there was nothing wrong with our current relationship. Of course, the problem is different. I have to treat you better in real life. When you return to the military, as long as we're in the military, I will be your captain, not your boyfriend. I will treat everyone equally. I won't treat you differently just because you're my girlfriend." He slowly put his arm around Yi Qian's shoulder and pulled her into his embrace. He lowered his head and kissed Yi Qian's hair lovingly. "I'm so harsh on you in the military. As your boyfriend, if I don't treat you well in real life, then I'll really become the heartless, black-hearted bastard that Grandma said." Note: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5488. Pleasing. Chapter 5489. An intimate person. Xia Jinyuan looked at Yi Qian cautiously. He was a little nervous. He only dared to be strict with his girlfriend in the army. In real life, he did not dare to be more strict with her. His girlfriend was definitely the one who told him to go east. He did not dare to go west. Yi Qian blinked a few times after listening to his explanation. Fifth brother. Fifth brother is a successful businessman. His advice: "Captain Xia, how could you listen to it? Fifth brother is different from us. Don't you think it's weird?" Yi Qian spoke very carefully. He really felt that fifth brother Xia Yun's lifestyle was completely different from theirs. "Captain Xia, are you sure it's okay to listen to fifth brother's advice?" But her boyfriend was trying to please her, so she did not refute. It was rare for her boyfriend to like it, so it was not good for her to refute it directly. She could only drag fifth brother Xia Yun down with her. Xia Yun, who was sitting at home, sneezed a few times. Before she could wipe her nose with a tissue, the old lady's energetic voice came from the side room. "I said you don't wear enough clothes, but you still refuse to admit it. You only care about elegance and not temperature. Lao Wu, you're not young anymore. You're already a middle-aged man in your 30s. Soon, you'll be an old man. Do you really think you still have the capital to fool around?" Xia Yun was about to cry from old Madame Ye's nagging when he sneezed. "My dear grandma, really my dear grandma." He was clearly in the golden age of man. How did you become a middle-aged man and an old man soon? He was about to cry from fear. Yi Jian, who pulled out Xia Yun as a scapegoat, silently said, "I'm sorry." Then she whispered, "Even fifth brother is different from us. Captain Xia, why do you want to consult fifth brother?" Xia Jinyuan lowered his eyes and stared at him deeply. "Are you trying to say that I'm out of my mind and that I'm asking the wrong person?" This little fox still wanted to be hypocritical in front of him. He could see through her at a glance. Yi Qian, who was seen through, was a little embarrassed. He pretended to touch his bare arms and changed the topic. No, it's quite good. I think it's quite good." "Hey, she didn't say it." He said it himself. Her perfunctory tone amused Xia Jinyuan. The curtains were still drawn, and the salesperson was still standing outside. Suddenly, Xia Jinyuan turned Yi Qian's shoulders to face him. Before Yi Qian could understand what was going on, he kissed her on the lips. Yi Qian's little heart was so scared that it almost jumped out of his throat. All he could do was let out an "oh" before he fell into Xia Jinyuan's hands. He didn't even have the chance to struggle. He didn't even need to struggle, because when Yi Qian tried to struggle, Xia Jinyuan had already pulled away with a low chuckle. The foreplay was fierce. Yi Qian thought it would continue, but in the end, he stopped abruptly and didn't deepen the kiss. Even so, Yi Qian's face turned red from the kiss. But Yi Qian was also used to Xia Jinyuan's sneak attacks. Other than being shy, she didn't resist. It was normal for couples to kiss. It was also normal for them to kiss in public. "Calm down, Yi Qian. You're already in your 20s. You're not a 15-year-old girl." "Oh, no. The 15-year-old girls in the movie theater were bolder than her. They hugged their boyfriends and kissed them. As for her, she was already in her 20s. She was still shy and afraid of being found out. That would be pretentious." Note: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5489, Panda Intimate Person. Chapter 5490. You want to be sweet and pampered. Yi Qian, who never liked to be pretentious, took a deep breath. Then, he became the main aggressor. He wrapped his arms around Xia Jinyuan's neck, raised his head slightly, and kissed his boyfriend's thin lips. Comrade Xia Jinyuan was speechless. His eyes widened. The man, who was almost 30 years old, was so frightened that he almost jumped up from the sofa. She. Kiss, 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 outside, kiss, kiss, kiss. She kissed him. Compared to Yi Qian, who was caught off guard and quickly regained his composure, Xia Jinyuan was really frightened this time, and quite badly. After kissing him, Yi Qian saw his dumbfounded expression and Junyan's shocked expression. She suddenly understood why he always liked to kiss her when she wasn't paying attention. It turned out that it was really fun to see a side of the person she loved the most. It was so fun that she wanted to give it a try. Who was Xia Jinyuan? Even if he was frightened, it would only take a few seconds. He would not give Yi Qian a second chance, especially when he saw that Yi Qian wanted to do it a second time. His eyes flickered slightly as he maintained his frightened look, quietly waiting for Yi Qian to walk right into his trap. As a result, Yi Qian obediently walked right into the trap, and he was very pleased with himself. After kissing him for the second time, she even learned from Xia Jinyuan's favorite trick of gently biting his thin lips with her pearly white teeth. Then, she straightened her body. At this moment, her eyes were smiling like the crescent moon on the treetops. She was charming and sly, making him love her dearly. How is it, Captain Xia? Doesn't it feel wonderful? Why are you so surprised? Didn't you say that it was normal for lovers to kiss? I think it's normal too. Especially after that experience in the cinema, I can see it even more clearly. As he spoke, he even raised his hand and patted Xia Jinyuan's handsome face. His demeanor was a little like a hooligan who had a cigarette after the event. At this point, Xia Jinyuan could no longer hold it in. He was worried that he would hurt his girlfriend's self-esteem. So he quickly turned his head away and laughed until his shoulders shook. When Yi Qian saw this, he realized that he had been teased again. He was so angry. He thought he could turn the tables, but who knew that he would lose everything in the end? Sure enough, he couldn't be complacent. Once he was complacent, he would suffer. With a snort, Yi Qian, knowing he couldn't win, he reached out his hand and pinched Xia Jinyuan's and twisted. Xia Jinyuan's twisted and twisted and twisted and turned, and Xia Jinyuan Studio Xia Jinyuan. My, Yi Qian Lu, Xia Studio to in Xia Yi Studio and Studio. Yi was Yi. Yi Jian was even more embarrassed by his laughter. She squeezed his hand even harder. It's okay. If you laugh again, I'll eat you up. Even the advertising message was coming. However, it didn't stop Xia Jinyuan from laughing. Instead, it made him laugh even louder. Okay. I won't laugh. Be gentle, don't break it. No. I have thick muscles. Don't hurt your hand. As he coaxed, Yi Qian, who wasn't angry, also laughed. I won't hurt. You're the one who's hurting. Soon, the two of them were laughing. They were so affectionate and harmonious that even the salesperson outside the curtain could feel the sweetness between the two of them. As long as it was sweet, it was good. The sweeter it was, the more clothes they would buy. Xia Jinyuan loved Yi Qian very much. Her strength, coldness, gentleness, craftiness, ruthlessness. He loved and was deeply fascinated by her at all times. Note, enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5490, Pandate's Sweet and Doting. Chapter 5491, Being a Brother is Tough. Once again, Xia Jinyuan hugged Yi Jian, who was laughing so hard that her face turned crimson as if she had drunk wine. He looked at the pile of clothes that had not been tried on and coaxed her again. You've taken up too much time here. Be good, try on all these. You can't just occupy this place and not buy anything. His little fox was kind and wouldn't let the shopping guide's enthusiasm go to waste. Yiqian also felt that she was taking up too much of the shopping guide's time. She looked at the pile of untried clothes and frowned slightly. Do I have to try on all these clothes? Xia Jinyuan smiled and said, You can take a look. Yiqian picked out all the dresses and sighed. I'll pass on the dresses, but I'll take the pants. It was Chinese New Year, and she seemed to be lacking in casual clothes. Since she was out, she might as well buy a few. Usually, women would like to buy clothes, and the men would be expressionless. However, when it came to Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan, the roles were reversed. Yi Qian was in a difficult position, and Xia Jinyuan was in high spirits. Yi Qian went in to try on the clothes again and looked at the clothes that were carried in. She sighed with a headache and started again. Outside, Xia Jinyuan received a call from Xia Yun. Xia Yun, who stayed at the old mansion, asked excitedly, while old Madam and old Master Xia listened with great interest. The phone was on speakerphone, so the two elders could hear Xia Jinyuan's words. Nothing much. My girlfriend is different from your materialistic girlfriends. Shopping is not attractive to her. I will ignore any ideas you give me in the future, Xia Jinyuan said calmly. He was determined not to admit that he was interested while Yi Qian was not. Before Xia Yun could say anything, old Madam knocked her head. Lao Wu, what ideas did you come up with? You're making things difficult for Lao Wu. Xia Yun rubbed her aching head and felt wronged. They're all good ideas. I swear on my conscience. They've never failed before. Even Xia Yun herself was puzzled. It was clearly an idea that never failed, but why did it fail when it came to her sister-in-law? The old man, who was listening at the side, sighed and shook his head. He said to his grandson on the other end of the phone, Old 6, Xiao Yi is different from Old 5's playful girlfriends. You brought her to the wrong place. Let's go to the racecourse tomorrow. I think little Yi will like it there. Also, the shooting range is fine too. These places should suit little Ye's taste. Lao Wu opened a horse farm and a shooting range. Grandpa has been there twice. It's not bad, but it's a little far. We have to drive to the suburbs. Io, Grandma, hit me again. If you hit me again, I'll really be hospitalized. Xia Yun was on the verge of tears after being hit on the head by the old madam again. Was it easy for him? When his younger brother fell in love, why did he have to suffer as the older brother? I didn't do anything wrong. However, he really didn't think of the racetrack and shooting range because women would only be spectators and wouldn't know how to play in those places. Not only did old mistress hit his head, but she also twisted his ear. Tomorrow, bring your younger brother and sister-in-law to the racecourse and shooting range. Do you hear me? If you give me any more ideas, I'll teach you a lesson. Yes, 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 yes. I'll definitely obey. I'll definitely obey. Xia Yun, whose ear was hurting for being twisted, repeatedly begged for mercy. Tomorrow, he would definitely accompany them to the end. In order to let Lao Wu have fun, he would also call a few old friends to compete with him. As for whether his younger sister-in-law liked it, that would be left to Lao Wu to decide. Sigh, as an older brother, it's so tiring. When his younger brother fell in love, why did he have to drag his older brother down with him? Xia Yun was very depressed, but Xia Jinyuan was very happy. Tip: enter Panda Literature in the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5491, Panda. Chapter 5492. Chance encounter. Xia Jinyuan was very interested in the racetrack and target practice. He believed that Yi Qian would be interested as well, but he did not agree immediately. He had to ask Yi Qian first. He had no choice. His girlfriend preferred to stay at home with old Master Yi. Why not bring old Master Yi along? Then invite Grandpa and Grandma. Xia Yun expressed that his sick son was really good at tricking his brother. He had wanted to bring a female companion, but now that he invited the two elders, it was definitely not going to work. Master Xia and old Madam Xia looked very willing to go along. Thus, Yi Qian only needed to agree. Yi Qian was still trying on clothes. He patiently tried on all the clothes. Xia Jinyuan sat on the sofa and watched the whole process with a satisfied expression. "How is it?" Yi Qian asked after he finished trying on the last set. "It's all good. Get someone to pack it up." Xia Jinyuan really felt that Yi Qian looked good in anything. Moreover, when he was trying on clothes, he was very glad that he had made a wise decision. Before he tried on the clothes, Yi Qian looked good. Not even the salesperson could see him. The salesperson standing outside was burying her head in laughter. She really did not expect such a handsome gentleman to be so narrow-minded. He was afraid that other men would see his girlfriend's beauty. Inside, Yi Jian was also smiling. At this time, Captain Xia was really like a nouveau riche. If it wasn't for his innate noble temperament, people would really think that he was a nouveau riche. No. It couldn't be considered a nouveau riche. It had to be a level higher. "What are you laughing at?" Xia Jinyuan, who was packing up the clothes, saw her smiling. "Your tone just now sounded like those overbearing CEOs in TV dramas." Yi Qian smiled and teased him. Xia Jinyuan smiled casually and said, "Although I'm not some overbearing CEO, I still have the money to buy some clothes for my wife. After all, I can lose out on anyone but my wife, right?" Yi Qian originally wanted to make fun of Xia Jinyuan, but in the end, it all came back to her. She was as cunning as a fox. The salesperson, who had been waiting outside, could not hold it in anymore. She burst out laughing, and Yi Qian, who was inside, was too embarrassed to come out. "I'll go change my clothes. You, help yourself." Embarrassed, Yi Qian turned around and was about to go back to the changing room when Xia Jinyuan suddenly stood up and reached out to grab Yi Qian. "Just wear this. I won't change. Didn't you say that you can't wear all of them? From now on, you can change into a different outfit every day until the end of the holiday." Xia Jinyuan asked the shop assistant to help Yi Qian remove the tag. He was really good at doing what he said. Yi Qian did not even have the chance to change before she looked brand new. Luckily, it was pants, so Yi Qian quickly got used to it. If it were a dress, she would definitely change into it. While paying the bill, a rather familiar voice came from behind her. She called out, "Xiao Yi," with some uncertainty. Yi Qian turned around and saw her new boyfriend and girlfriend walking towards her. V8, who was half a step behind, gave Yi Qian a look. Yi Qian blinked, indicating that it was fine to meet them and that there was no need to avoid them. When Qin Ying saw Yi Qian, the smile on her face deepened. "I didn't get the wrong person. It really is the two of you. When I came in just now, I thought it was you, but I wasn't sure. Luckily, I didn't get the wrong person." Qin Ying's steps were a little bigger. She wasn't sure just now, so she tried calling out. Unexpectedly, it really was Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5492, Panda Chance Encounter. Chapter 5493. Uncute boyfriend Qin Ying wasn't sure when she came in just now, so she asked V8 if it was him. V8 said he was just coming over to take a look, and it didn't matter if it was him or not. Qin Ying then walked over to say hello, but she didn't expect it to really be the two of them. V8, who was half a step behind his girlfriend, already made two gestures to Xia Jinyuan. The first one was, "Why haven't you left yet?" The second one was, "You didn't say anything." Xia Jinyuan, who received the gesture, nodded subtly, indicating that he understood. V8, on the other hand, was helpless. He had brought Qin Ying to 3 or 4 shops outside before coming back. He thought that their captain must have left, but in the end, reality slapped him hard in the face. Their captain, who was cold, cool, and trained without any regard for his life, was still there. He was still shopping with Qin Yao. Sigh. He wanted to save some face for their captain, but it wasn't that he didn't want to. It was just that their captain didn't live up to expectations and was still dawdling in the store. V8 personally thought that their captain probably didn't want his subordinates to see him sucking up to his girlfriend while shopping. Yi Qian was already talking to Qin Ying. Qin Ying glanced at Xia Jinyuan and smiled at Yi Qian. "This time, I'm really sure that you and Family Xia are a couple. The man is tall and handsome, and the woman is as beautiful as a flower. You two are the most compatible couple I've ever seen. When you stand together, you're like a beautiful scenery. It makes me want to run home to get my camera. As a photographer, Qining was the best at discovering all beautiful things. Xia Jinyuan and Yi Qian were indeed the most compatible couple she had ever seen. She wasn't lying, but she really thought so. Of course, these weren't enough reasons for Qining to take the initiative to greet them. The real reason she came over was because she wanted to confirm if her boyfriend, Yang Shulin, had a good relationship with Xia Jinyuan. Unfortunately, ever since she saw Xia Jinyuan, she had been secretly paying attention to them, but she didn't notice any special interactions between them. They only nodded slightly when they met, as if they were just acquaintances who met by chance. She couldn't see anything strange. Was she thinking too much? They didn't know each other? Qining was a straightforward person. Yi Qian liked Qingying's personality after meeting her a few times, so even if they weren't familiar with each other, they could still chat. V8 stood by Qining, Xia Jinyuan, until Qining reminded him to talk to Xia Jinyuan. V8 chuckled and went over to talk to Xia Jinyuan. Until Qining reminded Xia. Xia, Qin. When Qining saw this, she smiled at Yi Jian and said, "My boyfriend is a little boring. I don't know if it's because he's been in the army for too long. He's so silly and cute." Yi Jian almost bit her own tongue when she saw how silly he looked and how cute he was. V8, oh V8, what did you do behind my back to make Qining think that he was stupid? Lu, none of the soldiers in the Shuiyu Brigade were stupid. Even someone as smart as Qining was fooled by V8. V8 had a lot of things he wanted to talk to Xia Jinyuan about. He wanted to talk over the phone later, but he didn't expect to bump into his captain and Yi Qian while they were out shopping. It was good that he had something to say. He pointed outside and said to Qining, "You guys talk. I'll wait for you outside. The store is doing well. We're standing here like a pillar and blocking the way." Then he said to Xia Jinyuan, "Want to go together?" Xia Jinyuan glanced at V8 and rejected him. "I'm paying the bill. It's not convenient for me to go out with you." Qining looked away and asked Yi Qian with a smile, "What new clothes did you buy? Did he pick it out for you?" Family Xia's sixth brother should have good taste. I don't dare to let him see my husband's clothes. I don't even want to ask. Note, type panda literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5493. Uncute Boyfriend. Chapter 5494. IQ Crisis Suddenly. Qining asked casually, "You guys probably don't go shopping much in the military, right?" You guys included Xia Jinyuan, Yi Qian, and V8. V8 was very calm. His girlfriend was a smart person, but in front of Q King and Qing Yao, this kind of probing was child's play. It was impossible to get anything out of them. Yi Qian and Xia Jinyuan looked at each other. Yi Qian sighed. "I don't have time at all. You might not believe me, but this is the second time I've gone shopping with him. It's been almost 5 years since the last time, right? It's been almost 5 years since the last time you went shopping? That long? Then you guys don't even see each other often?" Qining was surprised. "I thought you guys were in the same military unit." "No, there's some distance between us," Yi Qian explained and stopped talking about the military unit. He asked Qining what she liked and what she wanted to buy. V8, who was mercilessly rejected by the captain, finally stood up to Xia Jinyuan. When Qining wasn't paying attention, he quickly said, "Captain, you're undermining me. I have something to talk to you about. How could you reject your love rival?" Previously in the hospital, he saw that Yi Qian seemed to have a special relationship with his future wife's family. Although he was a thick-skinned man, he could still see that his future brother-in-law's gaze towards her was special. Moreover, when he sent his future mother-in-law home in the early hours of the morning, his future mother-in-law kept asking about Yi Qian on the way home. He could only answer perfunctorily. When she asked about the relationship between Yi Qian and the captain, he naturally said yes repeatedly. His future mother-in-law then asked him if he knew Yi Qian, family Xia's sixth brother. He brushed her off with, "I only know him, not close." Sigh. That was really a tough journey. Why did it seem like no one knew that their captain was a special forces soldier? Everyone thought that he was a good-for-nothing playboy. Even if he went to a good university, he was just idling around. It had to be said that their captain used to be a jerk. So many years had passed, but people who knew him still thought he was a playboy. Xia Jinyuan glanced at V8 and couldn't help but worry about his comrade's intelligence. Did he not get to know Qining? Qining, first experimental high school's legend. Even though I'm 3 years younger than her, I know that she has always been the best in school. Do you think she's pretty and think she's just a vase? If you want to play your little tricks, I'll let you. Seeing the two of them together, Qin Ying's gaze swept over them lightly. V8 looked a little embarrassed and chuckled. Yeah, we didn't bring anything with us when we went to Xiao Ying's house the other day. Since we have time tonight, we came over to shop. He didn't expect to be so lucky. He was out shopping with his girlfriend and happened to bump into his captain buying clothes for Yi Qian. He didn't expect his captain to have such a tough and gentle side. No, it wasn't tough and gentle. It was the side of a lackey. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy. During training, he was strict with Yi Qian. However, in real life, his role was reversed and he became a softie. Xia Jinyuan sneered at his comrade's irrelevant answer. You really think Qining is a 3-year-old? I don't have to hide our relationship as comrades from her. Qin Xiu knows about it too. Just don't tell Mrs. Qin. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine and you will find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5494, Panda IQ Crisis. Chapter 5495. Flaunting boyfriend V8 glared at him. Why didn't you say so earlier? I've been feeling guilty and didn't dare to admit it. Are you stupid? Do you think you can hide our relationship from the person who shares your bed? Brother, the person who shares your bed should help you hide it from the people around you, such as Mrs. Qin. Xia Jinyuan wanted to pry open V8's head to see if it was filled with cotton wool. You can hide it from anyone but Qining. Find a chance to tell her. Don't treat her as an ordinary woman. Qining was raised by Mrs. Qin. Mrs. Qin is a heroine. Do you think it's easy to coax her granddaughter? Xia Jinyuan knew a little about Qining. Seeing that V8 still wanted to play tricks under Qin Ying's nose, Xia Jinyuan wanted to scold him. How dare you? The salesperson at the side finally sorted out all the clothes and came over to ask Xia Jinyuan to pay. V8 casually asked, "How many did you buy?" The salesperson, who had made a large order, sweetly reported a number. V8 was instantly shocked. OF*CK. You bought 16 pieces. How many years do you plan to wear this? Xia Jinyuan didn't want to talk to his comrade who suddenly had a low IQ. He said to Yi Qian, I'll go pay the bill first. You guys chat with them. V8's eyes moved slightly and he smiled. Don't worry, Captain. Leave the two ladies to me. Hearing this, Qining snorted and glared at V8. V8 repeatedly begged for mercy with his eyes. Sir, I know my mistake. I know my mistake. Qining ignored V8. She always trusted her intuition. The first time she saw the three of them get out of a car, she felt that they had a good relationship. However, they were still stubborn in front of her and said that they weren't close and were just acquaintances. It would be strange if she believed them. Sure enough, they knew each other. Family Xia's sixth brother was her captain who looked honest but was actually scheming against her. Outside, Qining gave her boyfriend a lot of face and did not immediately question him. Instead, she sized up Yi Qian's dress and said, You look pretty in this. You have good taste. It made Yi Qian's slender and tall figure even more apparent. Yi Qian, who was praised, pursed her lips and smiled. She tugged at her clothes and said helplessly, He's the one choosing. I'm only responsible for trying them on. Yi Qian didn't care about what she wore anyway. If he said it looked good, she would wear it. You're feeding us a big mouthful of dog food. If I were single, I would be stuffed to death by you. Qin Ying teased. It seemed like the relationship between the two of them was not ordinary. The more it was like this, the more impossible it was for her brother and Yi Qian to be together. Xia Jinyuan was both excellent and considerate. He was much better than his brother, who was a taciturn person. Xia Jinyuan, who was paying the bill, came over with 4 big bags. Seeing Qin Ying and Yi Qian chatting happily, He first glanced at V8 and then said to Qining, "We'll go to the race course tomorrow. If you two have time, come along." V8 couldn't make the decision on this matter, so Xia Jinyuan decided to ask Qining. Qining was also an equestrian enthusiast. Although she was tempted, she still refused. Old Master is still lying in the hospital. He won't be discharged until the day after tomorrow. Let's go next time. We'll meet again next time. Sure. Xia Jinyuan nodded slightly. After glancing at V8 again, his expression suddenly became very solemn. He said to Qining in a particularly serious tone, "Old Yang is a good person. Because of our uniqueness, he didn't dare to reveal our relationship in private. He hid some things from you because it was his duty. Please forgive him." Tip: enter Panda Literature in the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5495. Panda showing off her boyfriend. Chapter 5496. Heart-to-heart Qining, who was still on the edge of probing, did not expect Xia Jinyuan to suddenly say it out loud. She was stunned for a moment. Xia Jinyuan did not want his future comrades to worry because of this, so he decided to say it first. He said that it was more appropriate for him to say that V8's concealment was his intention to make Qining feel better. "I'm his captain. I joined his team half a year after I graduated from university and have been working with him for nearly 7 years. I've known him for nearly 7 years. He's not exactly honest, but he's definitely reliable. You can hit or scold him, but he definitely won't retaliate. Adjust well. He'll definitely be a good husband and father in the future." He was so serious that Qining did not know what to do. His words made their relationship clear, and Qining, who knew what to do, immediately replied, "He's my boyfriend, so I'll naturally understand him. As long as he doesn't have an affair or something like that, I definitely won't be angry about it. I know very well that your profession is special. Take my brother, for example. He works in the Foreign Affairs Department and also has a lot of things to keep secret. Even my father can't ask about it. I know very well that I don't blame old Yang. Captain, Family Xia's sixth son was actually old Yang's captain." Qining said that, but her heart was already in turmoil. Her mother even said that Xia Jinyuan was the #1 playboy in the capital and that whoever was with him would suffer. She even said that he was definitely just fooling around and could not be serious. When he heard this, his younger brother's face immediately darkened. If it wasn't for his mother, with his younger brother's temperament of not saying anything, once he said something, he would definitely push the imperial concubine back to the wall. Furthermore, he would push the imperial concubine back to the wall in a way that required a shovel to shovel down. What playboy? What bastard? What fooling around? What not being serious? She wanted to ask if her mother had been deceived. She did not understand Xia Jinyuan at all, but she still acted as if she knew him very well. Xia Jinyuan made things clear, and Qining also spoke frankly. The harmony between the team and the family did not need V8's intervention. V8 was very grateful. At such a critical moment, their Q King was still the most reliable. Qining had something to ask V8. She guessed that the couple in front of her would definitely not be willing to walk with the four of them together. After a few more words, Qining took the initiative to say goodbye. "We'll go shopping in another store, so we won't disturb you guys shopping. Since you're all in the capital, we'll have a good gathering after my father's discharge. Goodbye today, let's talk next time." She took V8's arm and waved goodbye to the two of them. Yi Jian could feel the intimacy in Qin Ying's behavior, and the smile in her eyes deepened. "Okay, let's talk next time." "All right, then we'll leave first. See you later." "See you later." Yi Qian waved his hand. After Qining and V8 left, he smiled at Xia Jinyuan and said, "I guess Qining already knew that your relationship with V8 was not ordinary. I don't know what V8 was thinking when he tried to hide it." Xia Jinyuan, who was ringing all the bags in his left hand, laughed. "That's why I hope that the two of you can be together for a long time and quickly improve the situation of the single people in the team." Yi Qian felt very sympathetic when he thought of the group of outstanding comrades in the team who did not have girlfriends. He then looked at Xia Jinyuan's anxious expression, like an old father trying to solve his single son's marriage. He couldn't help but laugh. Jiuqian Emperor, Note: enter panda literature in the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5496, Panda Heart to Heart. Chapter 5497. Seeking her, Captain Xia was really a busy man. Apart from training, he was also busy with the marriage of his comrades. This was her old father. You worry too much. If it really doesn't work out, we can settle it through marriage. Let's go. We'll go home after looking around. With that, Yi Qian took the lead and left. Yi Qian didn't ask if they were really going to the racecourse tomorrow because he thought Xia Jinyuan was just being polite. Xia Jinyuan didn't move. Why aren't you leaving? Yi Qian turned to look at Xia Jinyuan and then at the bags in his hands. Yi Qian suddenly understood. There's too much. It's not easy to carry, right? He turned back and pretended to take a few bags. Xia Jinyuan raised his left hand, which was holding the bags, and raised his eyebrows slightly at Yi Qian. Yi Qian finally understood what Xia Jinyuan meant. He held Xia Jinyuan's arm and said, I understand. Hand in hand or arm in arm, right? Did fifth brother teach you this? Fifth brother does this too? That's not possible. Fifth brother is obviously someone who likes to solve problems with money. I don't think he would carry bags with his girlfriend while shopping. He was right. Xia Yinsong had once accompanied a girl shopping and sent her away with a credit card. It saved him time and effort, and he didn't have to worry about it. If you didn't meet the right person, the person you really liked, shopping would become a burden. Fifth brother likes to use money, and I like this. Xia Jinyuan was very satisfied with his girlfriend's cleverness. He immediately came over and held her arm tightly. The two of them walked out of the shop together. As Yi Qian was about to leave, he heard someone say, Look at that guy just now. He's tall, handsome, generous, and dotes on his girlfriend so much. Who said that you guys are all straight men who don't understand romance? Look at him. He's so attentive and considerate to his girlfriend. If I want to find a boyfriend in the future, I want one like him. Hee, you're quite ambitious. You can't find something that you can only come across by chance. A good man will always belong to someone else. You will never be satisfied with your own man. That's because you can't see the flaws of other families. Instead, you magnify your own family's flaws infinitely. That's why you'll always be a little less satisfied. When he reached the door, he heard a sweet voice behind him saying, Look at you. You're comparing yourself to her boyfriend. It's really infuriating. He's so good at making his girlfriend happy. Unlike you, who's not even willing to go shopping with me during the new year. Yi Qian smiled and held Xia Jinyuan's arm with both hands. The smile on her small face deepened. She was Yi Qian's man, so of course he was good. What should we do next? Yi Qian patted Xia Jinyuan's arm and asked excitedly, Shopping is indeed a very comfortable thing. What should I do? I want to continue. Next, Xia Jinyuan stopped in his tracks and looked deeply at his girlfriend, who was exuding happiness. He saw the proud smile on Yi Qian's face just now and wanted to continue teasing Yi Qian. Before we go to the next stop, shouldn't you give your outstanding boyfriend a kiss as a reward? Xia Jinyuan asked with a mischievous smile. This car will run out of gas if we drive for too long. This boyfriend needs a kiss and refuel from his girlfriend after shopping for too long. Yi Qian looked around. There were a lot of people coming and going. It would be a little embarrassing to kiss here. Besides, they had already kissed 3 times just now. So what if there are so many people? No one will notice us. Xia Jinyuan, whose handsome face was close to hers, didn't care at all. I don't have high expectations. Just a kiss from each side will do. Tip: enter panda literature into the search engine and you'll find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5497, Panda Seeking. Chapter 5498. Couple outfits. Yi Qian looked around. She still felt that if she had to kiss him in public, she would need some courage. If you don't kiss him now, we'll really attract attention if we stand here for too long. Xia Jinyuan's eyes were full of smiles as he looked around, trying to find an opportunity to kiss his girlfriend. In the few seconds you hesitated, the kiss was already over. Yi Qian bit her lower lip. She still had to kiss him. She might as well get it over with quickly and not stand in the middle of the road like a roadblock. Anyway, he was kissing her boyfriend, not someone else. What was there to be embarrassed about? There was nothing to be embarrassed about. Yi Qian tiptoed slightly and quickly gave Xia Jinyuan a kiss. Yes, just a kiss. After the kiss, she immediately pretended to be calm and held Xia Jinyuan's arm to lead him forward. Let's go, let's continue shopping. Xia Jinyuan let out a joyful laugh and said in a doting voice, Okay, let's continue shopping. You're walking so fast. Where are we going next? Will you lead the way? I'll buy clothes for you. Yi Qian looked around and thought for a while. Suddenly, she thought of something and her eyes lit up. I've got it. I'll buy clothes for you. Are there any couple outfits? We can wear matching outfits if the colors are similar. Xia Jinyuan was even more delighted. We wear matching outfits in the military every day. That's different. We don't usually wear matching outfits. After saying that, she pulled Xia Jinyuan into the elevator and went straight to the men's section upstairs. You should take a good look. On the day of the engagement, you should wear something more handsome. Xia Jinyuan followed Yi Qian's footsteps and agreed. Newlyweds look beautiful, but the groom can't be too ugly. If he's too ugly, his future father-in-law will regret it. His future father-in-law was a protective person. He had previously said that he wanted to keep Yi Qian until she was 27 or 28 years old before discussing the marriage. In the end, he proposed the engagement first. He could already foresee how his future father-in-law's expression would turn ugly. He wasn't joking when he mentioned it earlier. It was time for them to settle the engagement. Old master, old madam, and even the entire family were looking forward to it. He only hoped that when the time came, the old man would agree. He would talk to his future father-in-law and see if it was okay. If he really didn't agree, he could wait and talk to the two elders at home. My family doesn't even know. Don't think that it'll work. I don't think it's a big problem on Grandpa's side. It's my dad's side that's the problem. When Xia Jinyuan mentioned the engagement, the bride, the groom, and so on, Yi Qian felt his cheeks heat up. He whispered, How can you say that it's already been decided when there's still no sign of it? I don't know if my dad will come back for the new year. Her father naturally couldn't be absent from such an event. Grandpa had said that her father would come back, but before he came home, nothing was certain. Even if he returned home, he might be recalled at the last minute. If nothing goes wrong, father-in-law should be back this spring festival. Xia Jinyuan was still rather certain. When father-in-law comes back, I'll talk to him and try to get his approval. How do you know? Yi Qian asked. Captain Xian never said anything that he wasn't confident in. Since he said it, it naturally could be done. Your boyfriend is resourceful. Such a small matter can't stump me. Xia Jinyuan's lips curved into a meaningful smile. Yi Qian couldn't quite understand it. Her delicate brows furrowed slightly. After thinking for a while, she suddenly widened her eyes. Just as she was about to continue asking, Xia Jinyuan changed the topic. I picked out all your clothes just now. Then you'll have to pick out all my clothes. See if you can pick out a couple outfit. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5498, Panda Literature Couple Outfit. Chapter 5499. Good news, how did he know? It was simple. His brother was in the same base as his future father-in-law. Wouldn't he know something? Yi Qian hadn't thought of that yet. All right. Yi Qian nodded in agreement. You haven't told me how you knew my dad was coming back. Did you do something behind my back? Did you tell my dad in advance? Xia Jinyuan raised his eyebrows and said, Help me pick out the clothes first. I'll tell you when you're done. Don't change your mind. I won't change my mind. Only then did Yi Qian stop asking questions. When she entered the men's clothing store, she suddenly understood how Xia Jinyuan felt when he picked out a bunch of clothes for her. Her boyfriend was so handsome and had such a great figure. Naturally, he would look good in anything. Yi Qian picked out a few clothes for Xia Jinyuan to try on. While he was waiting on the sofa, he suddenly received a call from home. Lass, where are you now? The old man on the other side of the phone chuckled. She could tell that he was in a good mood. It seemed that he had a good chat with old Master Qin. Yi Qian was in a good mood when he heard this. He smiled and replied, "Still outside? Did something happen at Grandpa's house? Should I go back now? It's okay. You and Six Brother have fun outside. You're not in a hurry to go home. Just now, your father called and said that he will be back for the new year. It seems that our family can have a good reunion dinner." The old man's words were filled with joy. "Previously, your father said that he would come back. I told him that it wasn't decided yet and that it wouldn't happen. I didn't expect that would happen this year. Your father and brother are back. Our family can have a reunion this year." The old man's smile made him seem several years younger. Old Master Chin, who was lying next to him, couldn't help but feel happy for his old friend. For the first 20 years of his life, this old friend of his had been the son of a wealthy family. He had a large number of servants, and even its servants to serve him when he picked food for him. However, later on, he had suffered until he was nearly 40 years old. He had suffered more than he had ever experienced before. He clearly had many children, but in the end, he only had one son, Yusheng, by his side. Fortunately, his old friend was open-minded and wasn't crushed by the hardships. Now, the bitterness is over and the sweetness is coming. The old man did not expect that his granddaughter would have more than 10 days off to spend the spring festival at home this year. His son could also come back from the base to spend the spring festival with him. His grandson, Li Jinyan, also said that he could come back this year. He was finally not alone for this year's big dinner. Ha ha ha, ha ha. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Although Old Master did not usually say anything and supported the work of the younger generation, even Uncle Fu went back every year during the family reunion. Old Master, who had no one to accompany him, actually did not feel good. Other families had a house full of sons, but his house was cold and empty. He was the only one. The old man had tasted this feeling too many times. He had gotten used to it after tasting it for a while. Although he knew that his granddaughter and son had given up their family for the sake of the country and everyone else. However, as one grew older, it was inevitable that they would become selfish. He also wanted to be like other old people, to enjoy the happiness of a family and live a life with son Nomi. Will my dad really come back? That's great. Xia Jinyuan happened to come out of the changing room and heard Yi Qian's happy words. Grandpa, Dad and I can spend the spring festival with you this year. She and Father Fu had not seen each other for a long time. A reunion for the spring festival was an extravagant wish for them. They did not expect that they could spend the spring festival together this year. Yi Qian was extremely happy. Yes, we can spend the spring festival together. I heard that your dad also has a 7-day holiday. He will be home tomorrow afternoon, the old man said happily. The old man said happily, "Since you're still playing outside, Grandpa won't disturb you. Just don't go home too late." Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine and you'll find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5499, Panda Good News. Chapter 5500. Reveal the old man reminded Yi Qian to go home early, but he didn't mean anything else. He was worried that his daughter would be in danger if she went home too late. Yi Qian felt a little guilty. He nodded and looked at Xia Jinyuan, his heart beating faster. Just now, she thought that since her father had not returned, the engagement that Captain Xia had mentioned would probably be delayed. But now that her father was coming back soon, and there were 7 days of vacation, didn't that mean that there was enough time to confirm the engagement? I told you my father-in-law will come back. Xia Jinyuan stared at Yi Qian. This time, his little fox had nothing to say. When did you find out? And what did he find out? Why are you so sure? Yi Qian found it strange. Her grandfather had clearly just received the call and knew that her father was coming back, but Captain Xia looked like he already knew. She really couldn't understand. Kiss me for an answer. Xia Jinyuan refused to answer because he wanted to get more kisses from his girlfriend. Xia Jinyuan's words elicited a friendly smile from the customers in the shop. A man even joked, "Young man, you have a bright future. You know how to make your girlfriend happy. You're much better than us when we were young. When you were young, you held a guitar and played it for hours outside my house. Anyone would be better than you." A middle-aged woman with a plump figure next to him was very polite. While chatting and laughing, She dug up her husband's background until the middle-aged man glared at him. These were all old matters, so what was the point of bringing it up again? Look, look, he's making fun of us, Yi Qian said as he glared at Xia Jinyuan. Are you addicted to kissing? Sigh, I can't help it. My girlfriend is still getting used to it, so I want to help her. Xia Jinyuan put his hands in his pockets, his casual movements like the most handsome male model in a magazine. Didn't you do well just now? I thought you were used to it. Looks like I still have to hurry up and settle my status. Xia Jinyuan sighed and shook his head. You have to pick out the most suitable outfit for me to meet my father-in-law tonight. Now that we're officially married, I'm sure my girlfriend will be bolder. After all, it's official. Yi Qian, tonight, Captain Xia was really full of nonsense. No matter what he said, he was always right. Yi Qian chose a few sets of clothes for Xia Jinyuan and went to pick out gifts for the elders of the two families. On the way back to Dingwei Garden with Xia Jinyuan, Yi Qian was still thinking about why he was so sure that Father Fu would come home. How on earth did you know that my father was coming back before Grandpa? Yi Jian just couldn't figure it out. Her father definitely wouldn't take the initiative to contact him in advance. Moreover, he did not say these things on the spur of the moment. He had a well-thought-out plan. Now, she suspected that the guy beside her had already mentioned the engagement to her father. Are you still thinking about it? Xia Jinyuan smiled happily. Good girl, don't think about it anymore. What's going on? Yi Qian was obviously curious. Did you mention it to my father? I did want to mention it, but I was worried that my future father-in-law would not be in the mood to work. Xia Jinyuan replied with a smile as he drove steadily. Did you forget about my other brother? At the mention of his other brother, Yi Qian suddenly remembered. He laughed and patted his head. All right, how could I forget about my third brother? He's from the same base as my father. Tip, type Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5500, Panda Reveal. Chapter 5501. No relation. Xia Jinyuan was also helpless against his girlfriend's honesty. He sighed and said, If third brother finds out that you've neglected others, his heart will bleed. I won't let third brother know. Yi Qian smiled and winked. If I don't say anything, and you don't say anything, third brother won't know. If that's the case, third brother will also return home for the new year this year? I'm not sure. I just need to know that my father-in-law will come back. Before you came downstairs today, you mentioned to old mister that our holiday would be extended. You also asked old mister if my father-in-law would come back for the spring festival this year. Old mister called to ask, and the person who answered the phone was a guard. He told old mister that my father-in-law would be on holiday this year. At that time, I felt that God was helping me. Xia Jinyuan did not continue to keep Yi Qian in suspense. When he saw Yi Qian heave a sigh of relief, he glared at him, feeling both angry and amused. Are you so afraid that I'll mention the engagement to my father-in-law? Yi Qian didn't hide anything. He nodded and replied, I'm a little scared. You know, my dad plans to keep me until I'm 27 or 28. You suddenly mentioned the engagement. I'm really worried that my father will whip you. As long as father-in-law agrees, I'm willing to whip me 10 times. While the traffic light was red, Xia Jinyuan reached out and stroked Yi Qian's hair. Baby, I can't wait to marry you. If you had the chance, you would have definitely discussed it with my father in advance. Yi Qian was very certain, because the man sitting beside her would never fight a battle that he had no chance of winning. Naturally, I will ask my father-in-law in advance. No matter who I overstep, I can't overstep my father-in-law. Xia Jinyuan had never thought of playing any tricks in front of his future father-in-law, because he knew that if he did, the consequences would be unbearable. For example, getting engaged 4 or 5 years after the new year. That's fine too. Xia Jinyuan had experienced firsthand how powerful his future father-in-law was. The soft knife slowly came in and sharpened against you until you were scared out of your wits. Then, he would put away the knife with a smile and say, I'm just teasing you. You would be so scared that you almost peed in your pants. His future father-in-law was still refined and elegant. That kind of power was true power. Yi Qian could see the lingering fear on his face. Sitting in the front passenger seat, she supported her forehead with one hand and laughed uncontrollably. When they went out in the morning, it was already dark when they came back. The carriage followed the mountain road all the way up. The surroundings were quiet and the snow was boundless. In the capital, where every inch of land was worth an inch of gold, Danguet Garden was like a paradise. The entire Danguet Garden was exceptionally quiet. Passing by several villas, every household was quiet. The red lantern hanging high outside the door emitted a red light, making the night a little less joyful. A car came from the front, and the two cars passed by each other. Xia Jinyuan was focused on driving and talking to Yi Qian at the same time, so he did not notice who the other car was. However, Qin Xiu, who was driving, saw Xia Jinyuan. Under the illumination of the car lights, he slowed down and saw Yi Qian sitting in the front passenger seat, smiling like a flower. His slender hands holding the steering wheel could not help but tighten slightly. Thinking about what Qin Ning said to him during the day, Qin Xiu, whose heart was filled with bitterness, let out a soft sigh in the car alone. As his sister said, if they were not meant to be, then they were not meant to be. No matter how hard he tried, it would be in vain. The car passed by in different directions. Just like Qin Xiu and Yi Qian, it was destined to be a one-sided love between Qin Xiu and Qin Xiu, which would never blossom and bear fruit. It's getting late. I won't go in and disturb Grandpa. Rest early. Xia Jinyuan planted a kiss on Yi Qian's forehead, moving from his forehead to his lips. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5501. Panda Not Meant to Be. Chapter 5502. Engagement 1. Yi Qian blushed again in the dark, but she did not avoid Xia Jinyuan until he let go of her. Drive carefully. Don't drive too fast. Okay, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. Xia Jinyuan smiled and kissed Yi Qian on the forehead. Rest early. Good night. Okay, you rest early too. Good night. Yi Qian covered her red face with her hands to cool down and carried the bags into the house. Xia Jinyuan stood behind her until she entered the house. When Yi Qian returned home, she saw that the lights in the living room were dim. She thought old Master Fu had fallen asleep, but to her surprise, old Master Fu was watching TV in the living room. The old man usually went to bed at 9 o'clock in the evening. Now it was 9 o'clock. Uncle Fu urged him, but the old man said that he wanted to wait for Yi Jian to come back. Uncle Fu did not urge him and waited with the old man. Seeing that Yi Qian had returned, Uncle Fu immediately got up from the sofa. You're back. Are you tired? At home, Uncle Fu was Yi Qian's elder. He was gentle, kind, and always cared about Yi Qian. The old man smiled even more kindly. My princess is back. Quick, let Grandpa see what you've gained today. The old man was also very happy to wait for something to look forward to. Yi Qian did not expect both old Master Fu and Uncle Fu to be awake. She felt guilty and put the bags on the floor. She sat down and held old Master Fu's arm. Grandpa, sorry to keep you waiting. I'll be back earlier next time. It was already past 9 o'clock p.m., and he was still awake. He must have been worried about her. I didn't wait long. I just wanted to see what you got today. Old Master Fu looked at Yi Qian's clothes, which were completely different from when she went out. He smiled and nodded. New clothes. Six brother picked them out for you? You have good taste. They look good. Yi Qian pointed at the bags on the floor and said cheekily, Grandpa, I look good in everything. Look, he bought them all. I didn't want to buy them, so he was unhappy. She had left a good impression on her boyfriend. She had no choice but to get engaged. He had to reassure his grandfather. Yes, that's true. The granddaughter of the Fu family looks good in anything. The old man agreed, with Yi Qian's self-praise. In his eyes, his granddaughter was the best of the best. No one could compare to her. Why didn't Laolu come in for a cup of tea before leaving? It's late at night, so it's fine if you don't go home. There's a guest room at home. He wasn't an outsider. He was a confirmed grandson-in-law. It wouldn't be a problem for him to sleep in the house for one night. We all thought that Grandpa was already asleep, so he didn't come in to disturb us, Yi Qian said softly. He'll come over tomorrow to play chess with Grandpa. Sixth brother is very considerate. Not bad. With him taking care of you like this, Grandpa is very relieved. It's getting late, and you must be tired. Quick, go and rest early. Old Master Fu stood up slowly. When sixth brother comes over tomorrow, he'll definitely drag you out to play again. Yi Qian helped old Master Fu stand up. We might go to the race course tomorrow, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. If we go to the race course, can you come with us? Ha ha, silly girl. Why should an old man like me join you too when you go out to play? We should go to the race course tomorrow and have fun. It's not easy to get a break, and now it's the new year. It's only right that we have fun. Old Master Fu didn't want to go with them. Young people had their own way of playing. If he went with them, it would make them feel bored. Tip: enter Panda Literature in the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5502, Panda Literature Engagement 1. Chapter 5503, Engagement, Part 2. Yi Qian could not take it lying down. Grandpa Xia and Grandma Xia are both going. How can you not go? I'm just trying to coax you. If I go to the race course at my age, I won't be able to ride a horse, and I'll drag you down with me. It won't be fun either. I won't go. Old man Zhongxing did not believe him. He knew the old couple very well. If Grandpa Xia and Grandma Xia are really going, you must go too. That's fifth brother Xia's race course. It's warm there. There's a chess room and a tea room. You can sit in a room and watch us ride horses through the floor-to-ceiling windows. There's also a shooting range next door. It's also fifth brother Xia's place. You can play there all day. Old man Zhongxing was not interested in anything else, but he was very interested in seeing his granddaughter ride a horse. He asked, "What about target practice? Will you be able to see it?" Yes. Yi Qian said hurriedly. You'll be able to see it even if you sit in the room. Old man Zhongxing was completely moved. It sounded like a good place. Family Xia is quite capable. He even managed to find a place like this. If Family Xia and Grandma Xia pass away, then Grandpa will pass away too. But let me say this first. You can go ahead and have fun. You can't just sit in the room and keep Grandpa company just because he's gone. Okay, I won't keep you company. I'll have fun. I'll send you back to your room. We'll decide tomorrow if I'll go or not. Yi Qian smiled as she helped old man Zhongxing back to his room. Old man Zhongxing was happy to see her happy. His granddaughter was so considerate. After sending old man Zhongxing back to his room, Yi Qian washed up and lay on the bed. She did not feel sleepy at all. Her mind was filled with what Xia Jinyuan had told her about the engagement. She always felt nervous when this matter was brought up. Was she unwilling to be in a relationship with Xia Jinyuan? That was definitely not the case. She was willing to confirm her relationship with Xia Jinyuan, and she had already met his parents. In fact, all that was left was an engagement ceremony and a wedding with both parents present. She knew very well that there was no one else in the world more suitable for her than Xia Jinyuan. After being reborn, this man had already become an inseparable part of her world. She was very clear about his feelings for her. They had been together for so many years since they met and fell in love with each other. It was time for them to settle down. First, they would get engaged, then get married. It was actually quite good to take things one step at a time. Family Xia agreed wholeheartedly. She was only worried about her family. Her grandfather was still fine, but her father still needed some effort. However, Captain Xia said that this matter would be handed over to him and he would handle it. Well, she would let him handle it first. If he couldn't handle it, she would step in. This would also show Captain Xia's sincerity and let her father see Captain Xia's sincerity in wanting to be with her for the rest of his life. As he thought about this, Yi Qian's heart calmed down. The phone on the bedside table suddenly rang. Yi Qian immediately got up from the bed and quickly picked up the phone. It was a message from Xia Jinyuan saying that he had reached home safely. With a smile on his face, Yi Qian seriously replied to the message. Okay, then you should rest early. See you tomorrow. After replying to the message, he hugged the phone and smiled, just like any other young girl who was in love. Xia Jinyuan, who had just returned to family Xia's old mansion, replied with a gentle expression. Okay, see you tomorrow. Sweet dreams. TSK, TSK, TSK. Looking at you, I can tell that you had a good day. Xia Yun, who had been waiting for Xia Jinyuan to return, came over with a smile. How was it? Brother Wu's idea was actually pretty good, right? Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine and you'll find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5503, Panda Literature Engagement 2. Chapter 5504. Arrangement. Xia Jinyuan put away his phone and the gentleness in his eyes. He glanced at Xia Yun and noticed that she was feeling uneasy. Yu, what's with that expression? Did you have a fight? That can't be right. You look like you were high on aphrodisiac. You didn't look like you had a fight. Sixth brother, Grandma taught me a lesson today. Don't scare me. I'm timid and can't take scares. This concerns sixth brother's lifelong happiness. As his older brother, he was under a lot of pressure and was afraid that he would ruin sixth brother's marriage. After a long while, Xia Jinyuan scoffed coldly. Fifth brother, save those ideas for your girlfriends. You'll know when you try them. How's the racecourse arrangement? Are we still going there tomorrow? His little fox still liked to ride horses and shoot. She was not interested in things like shopping. Hearing that it was not a bad thing, Xia Yun instantly felt relieved, as if he had eaten a piece of metal. The day after tomorrow, I'll go there again. Tomorrow, I'll get someone to tidy up the horse farm and the shooting range. We'll go there again the day after tomorrow. I've also called a few friends. They're all from Beijing. It'll be good for you and sister-in-law to get to know each other. Xia Jinyuan was about to nod when his eyes suddenly darkened. What's the reason? It was impossible for fifth brother to call his friends from Beijing for no reason. His friends from Beijing were not ordinary friends. They were all either rich or powerful. This afternoon, two of my friends called and said that his mother had just asked him about the Xia family. She mentioned the sixth son of the Xia family. My two friends paid attention and asked a little more. Good fellow. Only then did they know that my ex-aunt had started to work hard again. Now, more than half of the ladies in our circle know that sixth brother is a bastard who doesn't acknowledge his biological mother. I say, sixth brother. As your mother, she really can't be at peace. A few years ago, she schemed against me. After her scheme failed, she stopped for a few hundred days and started to stir up trouble again. I'm afraid your life won't be easy. With a mother who is a burden, how could life be easy? Upon hearing this, Xia Jinyuan's eyes were even darker than the night sky, but he soon calmed down. There's something fishy going on. Miss Xiao is now trying to reconcile with me. She won't do anything that's disadvantageous to herself. Are you saying that someone is using this opportunity to cause trouble? Xia Yanjun's face suddenly turned cold. Just a moment ago, he was still smiling, but in the blink of an eye, he revealed a cold ruthlessness that could only be found in the business world. I'll go check it out. When I find out, I'll clean it up properly. Fifth brother, there's no need to investigate this matter. I'll meet your friends tomorrow. Also, are any of your friends married? If they are married, invite their wives over. Xia Jinyuan did not want to drag Xia Yun down with him. He already knew who was behind this. Have you made any progress? Can you solve it by yourself? Xia Yun could tell a glance, and his heart calmed down a little. Yes, he's not easy to deal with, but he won't pose too much of a threat. The water is a little deep. You're a businessman, so it's not suitable for you to get involved. Xia Jinyuan stopped here. Okay, as long as you know what you're doing. He stopped here to let Xia Yun understand that this matter was beyond his ability to solve. He could solve it, but it was not suitable for him to show his face. As for what Xia Jinyuan said, Xia Jinyuan was very relieved that Xia Yun could do it. Xia Jinyuan had many friends in the capital city. Some were business friends, some were casual acquaintances, some were sincere friends, and some grew up with him. Now, all of them were doing very well. Xia Jinyuan could arrange as many friends as he wanted to go. Jiutian Emperor. Tip: enter Panda Literature in the search engine to find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5504, Panda Arrangements. Chapter 5505. Important. Xia Jinyuan was relieved to let Xia Yun handle matter. The two brothers chatted for a while more before Xia Yun received a phone call. He tiptoed out of the family Xia mansion. Before he left, he reminded Xia Jinyuan to cover for him. Xia Jinyuan gestured for him to leave quickly. Taking a phone call in the middle of the night and being so secretive, it was obvious that there was something wrong. He must have gone to a certain money-squandering den to have fun. Xia Jinyuan knew clearly in his heart that he wouldn't care too much. He knew what kind of person his brother was. Lao Wu was handsome and rich. He spent money like water, but he didn't know how to earn money. He spent his own money. He wouldn't do bad things. As for good things, he could see him getting involved. When he was in university, a student in his class fell seriously ill. It was not easy for him to study from elementary school to high school. A serious illness was undoubtedly a disaster for the whole family. Later, it was Lao Wu who generously helped him. Now, his comrade, who was far away at the border, did not forget to write a letter to Lao Wu to thank him for giving him a second chance at life. Family Xia was never a family that forgot their roots. Everyone had their own bottom line. They were clear about what they could and could not cross. Among the brothers in the family, only Lao Wu was special. This special trait was inherited from his youngest uncle. There was no way to change it. After Xia Yun left, Xia Jinyuan washed up and went to bed. He did not disturb Old Master and Old Madam, who had gone to bed early. The next morning, he appeared in the courtyard and startled Old Master, who was practicing Tai Chi. "Why are you at home?" Old Master stopped practicing and was quite surprised to see his grandson at home. "Didn't you go with Xiao Yi yesterday? Why are you back?" Xia Jinyuan was also worried. Why did it feel like all the elders in the family were waiting for them to go out? "I came back last night. You and Grandma just rested. Go to Dangue Garden after breakfast." Xia Jinyuan walked to the middle of the yard and started to practice Tai Chi with the old man. "I haven't practiced it in a long time. Come and see if you can do it." When the old man heard that his grandson would be going to Dangue Garden later, he felt relieved. Seeing that he was really practicing, the old man also became interested. "In the past, when I asked you to practice with me, you weren't willing. Now that I don't want you to accompany me, you're actually coming over. The height is wrong. You raised it so high. Are you trying to raise it to the sky?" His feet were level with his shoulders, and his horse stance was stable, but his lower body was unstable. "How did the team train him? You didn't even train properly, and you still have the face to lead the team?" Old Master Xia was very strict. After a set of Tai Chi, Xia Jinyuan was sweating profusely. The old madam watched from the side for a long time, but she didn't go over to disturb the grandfather and grandson pair. The three of them stacked up the rockery, and the red plum blossoms proudly bloomed in the courtyard. They were very happy and harmonious. As for the Fu family in Dangue Garden, early in the morning, the guards and Uncle Fu cleaned the house together to welcome the Lunar New Year's Eve. The windows were decorated with the word Fu, and large red lanterns were hung everywhere. It looked very festive. Yi Qian also joined in. He cleaned the furniture upstairs and downstairs, mopping the floor. From time to time, he would even hum a few lines of military songs. When Yi Qian sang, "We soldiers, what's the difference?" the old gentleman downstairs immediately sang, "It's only because we all wear simple military uniforms." Yi Qian laughed until his voice rose, and then sang, "We soldiers, what's the difference?" Just as he finished singing, Uncle Fu, who was cleaning the yard, and the guards came in. The two of them immediately joined in. "We say that we're different, but we're all the same. We're all in the prime of our youth, and we're all hot-blooded men." It could be said that everyone in the room was a soldier. Tip: enter Panda Literature into the search engine, and you will find this website. Thank you. Chapter 5505. To value that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.